Konoha East Uchiha is very cautious. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Nature Change. He also had a comprehensive consideration of the changes in the nature and form of chakra. A year ago, when he decided to officially start practicing ninjutsu, he had tested his chakra attributes. Fortunately, he has 3 different chakra attributes. They are fire, thunder, and wind, 3 notoriously offensive and difficult to control attributes. The fire attribute and thunder attribute should come from his father, and according to Uchiha Meixiang, the wind attribute comes from his mother. His mother is one of the few ninjas in the Uchiha family whose attribute is not fire. He perfectly inherited the excellent genes of both parents. Considering the order of the Third Ninja World War, Konoha first fought with the Wind Country, then the Earth Country, the Thunder Country, and the Water Country. He decided to practice the changes in the nature of the fire attribute first, and then the thunder attribute, then the wind attribute. Fire overcomes wind, thunder overcomes earth, and wind overcomes thunder. He did not underestimate the important factor of attribute restraint just because it was not described in large quantities in the TV anime. Konoha was able to suppress the Sand Village just because of simple economic suppression. Why did the 2 great scales Inoki have to sneak attack the hidden Thunder Village? Why did the second generation Tsuchikage and the second generation Mizukage perish together in the end? Behind this, there are factors of attribute restraint in each hidden village. Just like Deidara in the original work, he was defeated by Uchiha Sasuke because of attribute restraint. These are all obvious examples. It just so happened that Uchiha Toshiro's family had detailed information on the cultivation methods of these 3 attributes, properties and form changes. As for the yin attribute and yang attribute, this will take time. According to the information he investigated and collected, these 2 attributes are much more difficult than the ordinary 5 attributes. There are different requirements for the physical fitness and mental strength of a ninja. In his plan, after 2 years, when he can divide more shadow clones, he will slowly try to get in touch with them. He opened the refrigerator and took out a large lunchbox. This is the lunchbox that Uchiha Meixiang prepared for him. There is no microwave oven, such a high-tech thing now. It can't be easily heated. But he is not panicking. I saw him put his hands together and stick them on the upper and lower sides of the lunchbox. After that, a light blue light of chakra flashed. After a while, a faint heat came out of the lunchbox. This is the result of his recent practice of changing the nature of chakra. In fact, it is also very simple, similar to the practice of changing the nature of wind attribute chakra. Get a basin of water, and then control the chakra to heat the water as much as possible to make it boil at high temperature. Wait until the later stage to continuously increase the volume of water to increase the temperature for performing fire escape ninjutsu. Of course, there are other related training methods such as smoke, explosion, impact force, etc. The properties of each chakra are different. For example, the water attribute has high pressure, oil, and glue. The earth attribute has viscosity, hardness, gravity, etc. Suddenly there is a feeling of being fed. Eating the delicious lunch in his hand, Uchiha Toshiro suddenly felt that he was being kept. Is it embarrassing for the time traveler? The lunchbox made by Sister Meixiang tastes good. It smells so good. At this time, in Konoha village, in the Hokage building located in the center of the village, the aesthetics of which are hard to describe. In the corridor outside the Hokage's office, there was a crisp sound of ta-da high heels hitting the wooden floor. Bang! A loud noise. The door of the Hokage's office was violently pushed open, and a beautiful figure broke into the Hokage's office. A head of smooth golden long hair was scattered on the back, and the ends of the hair were casually tied into 2 ponytails. The skin was white and smooth. Under 2 golden willow leaf eyebrows, a pair of light brown eyes looked around. The nose was high, the flower lips were slightly pursed, and there was a snow blue diamond mark between the eyebrows, which was beautiful and moving. The most prominent thing was the great mind. Even the third-generation Hokage who mastered the art of telescope and was well informed, He would subconsciously glance at it, and then teach it with a serious face. "Tsunade, how many times have I told you, you have to knock before entering my office?" The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen said seriously, pressing down the Hokage hat on his head. Blocking his sight for a while, he said, "He is the same kind of idiot Jiraiya, as expected, like master, like apprentice." He did not reply, and did not care about his rude behavior of entering the Hokage's office without knocking. She was too familiar with this Hokage's office, whether it was the current owner Sarutobi Hiruzen sitting in it, or the photos on the wall, the first Hokage and the second Hokage. She was very familiar with them, and she had left many good memories here during her childhood. But she ignored her teacher's reprimand. The blonde woman who came in just looked at the third Hokage with disdain. "Hey, what do you want to talk to me about, Tsunade?" Being stared at with such contempt by her own apprentice, the third Hokage, who was wrong first, coughed to cover up his guilty conscience and quickly changed the subject. She already knew the true face of her teacher. She was always in the dark and didn't care. She rolled her eyes at him and told him the purpose of her visit to the Hokage's office today. "Special Medical Senior Ninja Uchiha Mika, have you read the clinical trial report on a new type of hemostatic drug? What do you think of the proposal in the report to add it to the regular medical supplies of ninjas?" She didn't beat around the bush and asked directly. This was also the purpose of her visit to the Hokage's office this time. "Is it the special hemostatic drug newly developed by Uchiha Mika?" she muttered to herself. She also took out a document on the table and took a look. Of course he knew about this new drug. He had known about it when Uchiha Mika applied to enter clinical trials. At first, he didn't take it as a big deal. He just thought it was a way for the Uchiha family to show goodwill to the village and show their support for the medical reform that the village is currently doing. But the development of things exceeded his expectations. He didn't expect that the other party would give him such a big surprise in the end. Looking at the experimental reports collected in his hand, the hemostatic effect is 6 times that of the current wound medicine. The healing speed is more than twice the current wound medicine. The anti-infection rate is also much higher than the current wound medicine. The key is its price, which is only twice that of the current wound medicine. Does Konoha have no medicine with similar efficacy? Yes, but these medicines are all secrets of major families, and the prices are ridiculously expensive. This excellent effect can be called a perfect medicine. It is not difficult to imagine how much help it can provide to injured ninjas. After being promoted, it has a huge effect on reducing the casualties of ninjas in Konoha. Chapter 27 New Drugs. He has held several meetings in the past 3 days. After several rounds of discussions with the senior management, no consensus has been reached. The wound medicine currently used by Konoha is mainly provided by the 3 major families of pig, deer, and butterfly. In addition, the village purchases some specialties from small and medium-sized families, and some are made by the village. The Uchiha family is not on the purchase list. If this kind of wound medicine is promoted rashly, the discussion and sensation in the village will be huge. Although the effect of the wound medicine produced by the village is not satisfactory, it has an advantage that it is in the hands of the village. This new medicine is in the hands of the Uchiha family, and the relationship between the Uchiha family and the village. Tsunade, you have to know that the promotion of this new medicine involves interests. The attitudes of the various families involved are extremely complicated. TSK, boring balance of interests, but as far as I know, the prescription of this new medicine overlaps with the medicinal materials used in the original medicine. In addition, the types of medicinal materials used are more complex and diverse than the original medicine. The harm to the interests of the various families in the village is minimal, and the impact on the village should not be great. The reason why she advocates this new medicine so much is inseparable from the medical reform it pioneered. Adding medical ninjas to the team is an innovative move, although the effect is good, but after all, the time for implementation is limited, and the scale effect formed now is still small. She urgently needs a brilliant result to encourage the village to increase investment in medical ninjutsu, medical ninjas, various medical drugs and equipment. After all, medical ninjas are not omnipotent. and not everyone is like her. The body has huge energy and superb medical ninjutsu. Those newly trained medical ninjas can only use some simple medical ninjutsu such as hemostasis and healing, and the frequency of use varies from person to person. That's why she is eager to add this new medicine to the regular medical medicines of ninjas. While saving more companions' lives, it will also make the village realize the importance of strengthening the medical system. As for guarding against the Uchiha clan, although she has been influenced by her uncle, the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, she is a little wary of the Uchiha clan, but there is still a huge difference between her uncle and her teacher, the third-generation Hokage. Besides, whether it is for ninjas, families or villages, this matter can be regarded as a great thing. Even the medical system she has newly created will benefit a lot, so there is no reason to refuse. Tsunade, how can things be as simple as you think? Listen to me carefully. For his increasingly outstanding disciple, the third-generation Hokage did not hide a single thing and slowly explained the interests involved. The simple purchase of medicinal materials actually involves the influence of the village on the various families in the village, and the statements and positions of the various families on some things. The major families in the village have included their own medicinal materials and specialties in the village's purchase list. Invisibly, they have also handed over their own economic power to the village. The patriarch of your clan is very dissatisfied with the will of fire. Do you want to consider changing it? What do you think of everyone targeting Uchiha together? Do you support us going to war with so-and-so? What do you think of me, the third-generation Hokage? These are all important manifestations of the influence of the Hokage on the major families in the village. Whether it is medicinal materials or specialties, the Land of Fire is rich in products. Without you, there are still others who can provide them. It's really dirty. Tsunade, you guy. The third-generation Hokage was very annoyed that he had explained it for so long. In the end, he only got the evaluation of dirty. If it wasn't for the fact that this was his disciple and his special status, he would definitely treat him well, although the consequences might be very miserable, and he might not even be able to get into bed after returning home. Thinking of his wife Baiwako's love for Tsunade, he immediately killed the idea of teaching this traitor a lesson. That's right, Sarutobi Hiruzen's wife was originally named Senju Baiwako, and she was a member of the Senju clan. She married him in the presence of the second Hokage. For many years, she has been partial to Tsunade, and even his son Shinosu complained to him. Tsunade is her mother's biological daughter, and he was just picked up from outside. When Uchiha Toshiro was watching anime, he was very surprised that the third Hokage was so thin, but his son Sarutobi Asuma was tall. Later, he occasionally heard the adults in the family chatting and learned about this fact. So what are you going to do now? Are you going to leave the good medicine unused just because you are targeting Uchiha and increase the casualties of ninjas? He took a deep puff of the dry tobacco in his hand and exhaled a long breath, hiding his face in the lavender smoke. The new medicine village must be promoted, but who will promote it? The Sandaime Hokage said lightly, emphasizing the pronunciation of the word village in his mouth. Oh, I heard that the Uchiha family applied for clinical trials in the name of the family secret medicine. Do you want to grab it directly? Tsunade looked at the Sandaime Hokage with a playful look. If so, then things will be interesting. She was just watching the fun anyway, and she didn't mind the big deal. Sighing, the Sandaime also felt that this matter was extremely troublesome. Thinking of the different opinions expressed by Shimura Danzo, Udatain Koharu, and Mito Kato-en in the meeting that just ended, he felt a headache. Danzo's idea was simple and crude, and he directly arrested Uchiha Mika and tortured her for the drug information in her mind. Or sneak into their homes, steal the formula of the medicine directly, and imitate it. Koharu's idea is to gather all the big and small families in the village to put pressure on the Uchiha clan. Let them hand over the formula in their hands and contribute to the village. Yan's method is relatively gentle and reliable. The village provides the raw materials of the new medicine, which is produced by the Uchiha clan and then distributed to the hands of the ninja. Danzo's idea is too simple and crude. If he arrests people directly, the reaction of the Uchiha clan is unpredictable. If the secret formula is stolen, the Uchiha is not an outsider. What do the major families in the village think about stealing the secret medicine of their own family? Besides, the Uchiha is not blind. Koharu's idea is too tough. This will make the rift between the village and the Uchiha bigger and bigger, which is not conducive to the unity of the village. Yan's idea is the most feasible. It is also acceptable to the village, but I don't know whether the Uchiha will agree. 3 people, 3 attitudes, and 3 ideas. This basically condenses the village's attitude towards the Uchiha family. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Thoughts. Although the idea is good, the procurement and promotion of the raw materials of the new medicine will be completely handed over to the village. Will the Uchiha agree? The procurement of raw materials is completely handed over to the village, so that the village can basically know the various medicinal materials and proportions used in the medicine. How can it be kept secret? To put it bluntly, when the time comes, the village only needs to do a little research. It can copy a new medicine with similar effects. It will be easy to kick the Uchiha away. As for handing it over to the village for promotion, this matter has basically nothing to do with the Uchiha. It is impossible to gain reputation or other benefits. As for handing it over to the Uchiha for production and promotion, the third Hokage has never thought about it. If so, the Uchiha family will use this new medicine as a link and the procurement rights of raw materials to establish good relations with a large number of small and medium-sized families in the village, and gain a lot of reputation among civilian ninjas. Reverse the negative impact brought about by the security force, this law enforcement agency, all of which are inconsistent with the village's established policy towards the Uchiha. Tsunade pouted and avoided the village leader's twists and turns. Without saying hello, she turned around, pushed open the door and planned to leave the Hokage's office, leaving a sentence before leaving. HMPH. You can do whatever you want with this matter, but our medical department will include the new drug in the purchase list. Its hemostatic effect is too good, and it can save the lives of many companions. One of her dreams is to save the lives of more village companions. Now there is a better choice. Of course she will not give up. As for the subsequent impact caused by it, she is not the Hokage, and these things are left to the old man to worry about. Tsunade, don't leave in a hurry. I have an important task for you. Develop a new drug with similar efficacy to this new drug and include it in the list of candidates. Ignoring the important task mentioned by the Sandaime, with her head held high and her chest held high, Tsunade walked out of the Hokage's office with her almost uncaring and arrogant steps. As for developing a new drug as a substitute, she was too lazy to care. It would be fine if she didn't know some of its components and development ideas. Now that we know some of the secrets, we can develop new medicines according to this idea. What do you think of her, Tsunade Senju? What's more, the other party is Uchiha. Although the Senju clan has declined, she is still proud of the Senju clan. I'm not interested. Are you old and confused? I want to develop a new drug with similar efficacy. The funds and time required will be extremely huge. I'm very busy now and don't have the time. No matter which world it is, the research and development of a new drug is a huge and time-consuming project. Uchiha Mika also took advantage of the family's secret medicine. Otherwise how could she have achieved such great results in less than 2 years? It is precisely because of the difficulties that you are indispensable. If it were you, there would be hope to develop a new drug with similar efficacy in a short time. Looking at the disciple who walked out of the Hokage's office without looking back, he felt a headache, not just because of the new drug. There are also his 3 beloved disciples. Jiraiya, that guy, is good for nothing except lust. Even though he was lucky enough to sign a contract with Meibaku Mountain, one of the 3 holy places, to learn celestial arts, he still had a lustful habit. In the past few years, he stayed in the land of rain, teaching children from other countries to become ninjas, and even said that he was looking for the child of destiny, acting like a playboy. Orochimaru has become more and more gloomy in recent years. I had originally placed great hopes on him, but now I have to start considering the issue of the next generation of Hokage successor. whether he is suitable. Fortunately, I am still energetic and at my peak, so there is no need to rush. As for Tsunade, she has never taken me seriously. Relying on her status and Byaku's love, she is almost lawless in Konoha village and doesn't give face to anyone. But fortunately, she also inherited the will of fire of the first-generation Hokage, and her actions over the years have gradually been on the right track. Sigh again. The Sandaime Hokage had to pick up the lunch box that Byaku had prepared and brought to him by the secretary. While eating, he reviewed the documents in front of the Uchiha, which could be called a huge amount. Uchiha Toshiro didn't know that because of his unintentional proposal, he almost put Uchiha Mika into unpredictable danger. However, he had anticipated the various problems that the Sandaime was struggling with at this time. As early as when Uchiha Mika told him the basic data of drug research and development, he expected that this matter would bring about huge changes between the village and the family. In order to understand the attitude of the village towards the Uchiha, he gave a long speech to explain to Uchiha Mika the various interests involved. It was also to see the attitude of the family towards the village, provide a reference for future survival plans. At that time, should he run away with a few close clansmen, or try to save the fate of the family? If the village completely rejects this new drug and joins the ranks of regular ninja medical supplies, or force pressure, completely disregarding the feelings of the Uchiha, there is nothing to say. Just prepare to run away. As for the final attempt to launch a coup with the family to gain power in the village, he has never hit such plans. Even if he has the strength of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, he would not think so. Uchiha is the founder of Konoha village and a member of the village. He wants to return to the center of power. Relying on those conspiracies and tricks is completely unacceptable. In his opinion, launching a coup with the power of a family, even if it controls the entire Hidden Leaf village. How do you get the recognition of the villagers? Get the affirmation of the working ninjas in the village? What's more, there are a lot of troubles waiting for you outside, such as the daimyo, nobles, masters of the Land of Fire, and other major ninja villages. Moreover, in his opinion, if there is a first coup, there will be a second time. You Uchiha can successfully take power through a coup. Can the Aburame try it? Even pig, deer, and butterfly unite several small and medium-sized families. Can they also try it? With the complete values of his previous life and the influence of historical experience, he knows too well that this kind of thing cannot be done. Those who came to power through a coup d'état generally did not have a good ending. The better ones, if they did a good job, could retire with honor. But if they made a slight mistake, their entire family would be wiped out. Chapter 29 Testing 2:30 p.m. Ninja School, Grade 1, Class. Near the window, a black-haired boy in a dark blue turtleneck long-sleeved t-shirt lay motionless on the desk. The warm spring afternoon sun shone through the window lattice into the classroom. It also shone on this figure, as if it was rimmed with a layer of gold, making his whole body emit a faint golden glow. The one sleeping on the desk was Uchiha Toshiro. Even though he had taken a 2-hour nap at noon, he had just created a shadow clone with a large amount of his chakra. He still felt quite tired, as if his body was hollowed out. Coupled with the slightly intoxicating spring sun, he felt drowsy again not long after sitting down in the classroom. Swish! There was a sound of the sliding door being slashed open. Aoyama Ryosuke, the bald-head teacher who looked like Mr. Saitama and wore a green chunin vest, entered the classroom and walked towards the podium. Some of the students who were still fighting in the classroom stopped immediately. They sat upright, looking like good students. Everyone, cheer up. We are going to conduct a basic physical skills test soon. Students who are still sleeping in the back should stop sleeping and listen carefully. Now it has been nearly a month since the ninja school started, not to mention the children of the families in the class. The children of ordinary civilians have also successfully refined chakra. Therefore, the school has conducted a series of basic ability tests for these new students, including some cultural level, hand seals, physical fitness and other aspects. Today is the time to test physical skills. Reluctantly got up, with one hand supporting his head, he looked numbly and stood on the podium and talked endlessly. He talked about how important today's test was. Many students in the class turned their heads and secretly glanced at Toshiro, who had just been called. After entering the school, except for a slight outburst on the day of the exam, he was quite low-key at other times. In the morning, he basically borrowed a book from the library and sat quietly in his seat to read it. The students in the class who turned their heads to look at him at this time basically had a curious and inquiring look. This Uchiha guy in the class is a little weird, too quiet. The quiet Toshiro is so handsome, he is so cute even when he just woke up. I really want to make friends with him. He didn't care about the curious expressions of the boys in the class. He didn't care about the infatuated looks of some girls. Uchiha Toshiro had already decided to be a quiet handsome man in the ninja school. He would stay still if possible to reduce energy consumption. Okay, now everyone, follow me to the comprehensive activity room for the physical test. The comprehensive activity room is a place similar to the training dojo of Toshiro's family. It's just that it is larger and can accommodate more people. In the activity room, Mr. Aoyama was communicating with a middle-aged ninja who was about 40 or 50 years old and had some gray hair. Okay, this is your taijutsu instructor from now on, Mr. Ikeda Yuta. When your name is called, come forward and practice taijutsu with Mr. Ikeda. You get 1 point for each threatening attack, and 3 points for touching Mr. Ikeda. Do you understand? Yes, got it. Hurry up and start. Hearing the chaotic answers of this group of kids, Mr. Aoyama felt that he had lost face in front of his colleagues. Veins popped out on his forehead, and he couldn't help but roar. All of you guys, cheer up. The result of this exam is related to your future. Make room for the empty space in the middle and sit along the wall. The angry roar filled the entire classroom. It even blew the hair of several students standing in front of Mr. Aoyama crooked. Yes, looking at the students who finally looked good, Ryosuke Aoyama nodded. He said to the ninja next to him, Mr. Ikeda, let's start now. No wonder he took it so seriously. The results of this exam will be recorded in the student files. A comprehensive comparison is made with their physical skills scores at graduation, and then they are divided into classes based on the teacher's comments. The physical skills exam is conducted in the form of ninjutsu. You know the rules. I will be the opponent, and everyone will take turns. Teacher Ikeda said to everyone with a smile, and added at the end, I won't let you get my points easily. Ninjutsu is the name of the ninja's physical skills. In addition to physical skills, ninja skills such as ninja tools, ninjutsu and illusion are not allowed. At the beginning, you must make a seal of opposition with the opponent, and then make a seal of reconciliation after the end. It is a special ceremony unique to ninjas. The first one is Doi Kangping. You go first, make a seal of opposition. At this time, a boy with short brown hair and ordinary appearance stood up in a daze and walked to the opposite side of Teacher Ikeda. Don't be nervous, Doi. Use all your strength to attack Teacher Ikeda. At this time, the first child who stood up always suffers a little. It seems that he saw that Doi Kangping was a boy born in an ordinary family. Aoyama Ryosu comforted him softly. Then the ninja sparring begins now. In fact, in this exam, the so-called threatening attack requires that the children who have just entered the ninja school can correctly launch effective attacks according to the knowledge of physical skills taught in the past month. As long as their posture is not too out of shape, they can get 1 point. The so-called touching the opponent is aimed at those genius children with outstanding ninja talents. Every year, there will always be 1 or 2 such children born in the ninja school. Doi Kohai did not hesitate at all. After Mr. Aoyama said the word start, he twisted his body and took a step, and a standard straight punch attacked Mr. Ikeda's abdomen. Ninja is really a cruel profession. Even an ordinary civilian child, who is only 6 years old, after hearing the teacher's order, he can punch the opponent without hesitation. With the pa-pa-pa sound of fists and palms hitting each other, Doi Kohai in the middle of the dojo continued to launch attacks around Mr. Ikeda. At this time, Ryosuke Aoyama was holding a clipboard in one hand, his eyes fixed on the field. He was evaluating the strength and speed of his students' attack. From time to time, he lowered his head to write and draw on the blank information on the clipboard. As for his opponent, Yuta Ikeda, he did not blindly defend rigidly. Occasionally, He would move his feet and launch one or two slow attacks on his students. In this way, he evaluated the students' reactions. Okay, that's enough. After only 2 minutes, he had basically figured out Doikohai's level. Ryosu Kawayama called a halt to the sparring. Both sides make a seal of reconciliation. Chapter 30. Sparring. Next is Jiro Kamada. As Mr. Aoyama called out the names one by one, the young ninjas around the room, some kneeling solemnly, some sitting cross-legged, all stared at the fight between Mr. Ikeda and the new student with their eyes wide open. Jiro Kamada, remember your outstanding junior. There is a classmate named Kamano. I wonder if there is any relationship, like the other children around him. Tawashiro found a place by the window. While basking in the sun, he leaned against the wall and sat cross-legged. His eyes swept the field indifferently. From his point of view, the moves of these young ninjas were quite elementary. Even if there were some children from ninja families, they didn't have much to show for themselves. But this is normal. Not everyone can graduate from the ninja school at the age of 5 or 6 like Uchiha, Kakashi and other geniuses. Next is Uchiha Tawashiro. He sat cross-legged on the wooden floor of the classroom, resting his back against the wall. Dong Shilang, who had been waiting for half an hour, let the sun shine all over his body. He was refreshed. Then he stood up and walked to the field. If he continued to wait like this, he doubted that he would fall asleep again because of boredom. There was no way. He could only blame spring for not being a good weather for school. As Dong Shilang walked slowly to the field, the whole classroom, whether teachers or students, stared at him with bright eyes. There was no way. The Uchiha surname was too special, whether for ordinary civilians or family members. For ordinary civilians, every appearance of Uchiha meant that relatives, friends or acquaintances around them would be arrested and taken to the security forces for punishment. For family ninjas, staying with Uchiha was a politically incorrect behavior. No family ninja would do such an overstepping behavior, because they not only represent themselves, but many times, their every move also represents the attitude of the family behind them. This made the Uchiha look particularly arrogant in the eyes of outsiders. As a ninja family, it was extremely difficult for the Uchiha to integrate into them, and an invisible barrier blocked them. As for ordinary civilians, seeing their fearful looks from time to time, the proud Uchiha also disdained to have deep dealings with them, formed the seal of opposition. Then the ninja sparring begins. Don Shiro nodded, and the power gathered under his feet exploded instantly. In a flash, he appeared in front of Ikeda Yuta and punched Ikeda in the face. Many students exclaimed in small voices. The speed that Dong Shiro had just exploded was too fast for them, and they couldn't even catch it with their eyes. Although he didn't use chakra to gather his legs to enhance his explosive power, because he had split a shadow clone, his physical strength was not in the best condition. But in terms of speed, it has reached a point that even Ikeda Yuta was surprised. But Mr. Ikeda has always been a chunin who has experienced life and death. He has rich combat experience. He has encountered countless ninjas who are faster than Dong Shiro. Although he was shocked by Dong Shiro's instantaneous speed, he didn't overturn. With a slight shake of his head, he dodged Tawashiro's fist. Tawashiro kicked continuously without waiting for his body to hit the ground, but Ikeda-sensei blocked all of them with his palms. Tawashiro landed with the force, and then his feet exploded again. He turned and came behind Ikeda-sensei, squatted and kicked towards Ikeda-sensei's lower body. Ikeda-sensei raised one leg and took Tawashiro's kick. The strong force from his leg surprised Ikeda-sensei. An ordinary genin might not be able to withstand it. As a chunin, Ikeda-sensei judged that Tawashiro's attack was not enough to shake him. After taking the attack, he took advantage of the gap left by Tawashiro's attack and kicked Tawashiro's head. Tawashiro could only raise his arms to block it, but he was still kicked 5 or 6 meters away. What a strong kick. My arms are numb. Dong Shilang was a little surprised. He could tell that Mr. Ikeda just kicked casually. He must have let him off because he was afraid of hurting him. He didn't know how much strength he used, but despite this, he almost couldn't bear it. From this, it can be seen that Dong Shilang is still a long way from being a real chunin. I have embarrassed the time traveler again. When other time travelers were 6 years old, Killing a chunin in seconds was basically the same as killing chickens and dogs. When it comes to him, although he is not in the best condition, the gap is still obvious. His expression became more and more solemn. Although it was just an exam, Dong Shilang would not relax in the battle because of this. The power under his feet kept bursting out, and he appeared around Mr. Ikeda like a ghost to attack. The students watched the wonderful fight in front of them, clenching their fists nervously and not daring to blink. This fight was too amazing for them. Dong Shilang was very fast and his attacks were amazing, and Teacher Ikeda was even more amazing. He could easily dodge the attacks and block the punches and kicks. Some people even forgot to breathe and only gasped for air after a while. Some students who thought they were good at it looked awkward. Dong Shilang performed so well, so they were completely outdone. This made them a little unwilling. Children, most of them like to show off. At this time, Dong Shilang kicked from a tricky angle, and Teacher Ikeda accurately grabbed Kaiyi's ankle and threw him to the ground. At the same time, he stretched out his index and middle fingers and quickly tapped Kaiyi's neck. The short stiffness when he fell to the ground made Dong Shilang unable to react. Perhaps it was because he didn't have much practical experience that Dong Shilang felt a little dull. At this moment, the fight was over. Excellent, Teacher Ikeda praised briefly, without saying anything else. Perhaps he couldn't say more. After all, except for his lack of experience and skills, Tawashiro's speed and strength were impeccable at this age. It's hard to tell that this is a kid who is just 6 years old. His skillful moves, keen sense of touch, and compelling spirit, just looking at his physical skills, he is close to the level of a genin. This class, before other students learn the family's ninjutsu, I'm afraid no one can beat him. Thinking about his last name, I'm afraid it's useless even if he learns the family's secrets. The Uchiha clan is really an elite ninja family. The two of them made a seal of reconciliation with each other. Facing Teacher Ikeda's piercing eyes, Tawashiro always felt a little scared. It seems that Tawashiro is the top student in the class. It is very likely that he will be the top student of this class. Chapter 31 Class. Next, Uchiha. In the following Taijutsu exam, the student's performance was remarkable. However, with Tawashiro's example, both Ikeda Yuta and Aoyama Ryosuke felt that their performance was a little disappointing. Even the children of the family were far behind Tawashiro in terms of strength, speed, skills, and the connection of moves. Damn, Uchiha guys are really annoying. Some boys in the class who had a strong desire to perform looked at Uchiha Tawashiro with malice. Some of the children of the family also looked at him with resentment. This guy performed so well, and his family will have to give him extra training after knowing it. Fortunately, the guy's last name is Uchiha. If he was an ordinary civilian, the consequences would be disastrous. Ninja is a profession full of competition, whether it is a ninja school or a family ninja. For these new kids, competing with each other is welcome. But for the ninja family, losing to Uchiha is barely acceptable, and the worst-case scenario is extra training. If they lose to a child born to ordinary civilians, then it is not something that can be fooled by ordinary extra training. They must be taught a profound lesson and undergo hellish training. Toshiro is so handsome, although he usually sits there quietly, looking like he is not interested in the world. He is very motivated when he is serious. I am just embarrassed to disturb him, some little girls with crazy faces thought with longing. If he had not been sitting quietly in his seat reading a book every day for a month, giving people a sense of distance, many girls would be embarrassed to disturb him from enjoying the tranquility. I think his career in the ninja school would have been more colorful. When the last student was called, the student who had practiced with Teacher Ikeda also formed a seal of reconciliation. Teacher Aoyama took the data he had recorded, walked to the center of the venue, and spoke to the students. Okay, today's ninja basic physical skills test is over here. All students performed very well, especially Uchiha Tawashiro. Tomorrow afternoon, there will be a test of receiving seals and throwing with hands. I hope everyone will keep up the good work. For Tawashiro, the seal test is basically just a trick. Since 2 years ago, he has never given up practicing the speed of seals. He even made a stack of paper with different seals written on it, from 4 to 12. Every time, he would disrupt their order and start practicing different seals one by one. Now he can do nearly 3 seals per second, which is the level of ordinary Chunin. As for shuriken throwing, it is even easier. Although he has given up now, continuing to improve his shuriken investment skills does not mean that he has abandoned this skill. He still conducts maintenance training 2 or 3 times a week. It's just that the duration is not as long or as frequent as before. In the back row of the ninja school classroom, by the window, Uchiha Toshiro folded his arms, resting his head on his arms, looking listless. He had just been practicing chakra transformation at home for nearly an afternoon, and his shadow clone was released. With a faint sense of fatigue, a large number of related practice memories were brought into his brain and became part of his memory. Uchiha Toshiro, answer the function of this seal on the blackboard. This seal is the tiger seal among the 12 seals, and it is the ending hand seal of the general conventional fire escape technique. It helps the ninja to transform the nature of his own chakra. Toshiro stood up calmly and answered the teacher's questions with a calm face. Sit down. You may have mastered all this knowledge, but you still have to listen carefully in class and don't be distracted. After a month of getting along, he also had a general understanding of the level of each student in his class. Asking Toshiro questions was just to express his dissatisfaction with his sleeping behavior in his class. Ring, ring, ring. As the bell rang, most of the students in the classroom were refreshed and instantly felt full of energy. A bunch of poor students. No wonder none of them look familiar. No matter at the beginning of the story or in the later Shippuden, there are no classmates in the class. It is estimated that they all received box lunches in the Third Ninja World War. The future is worrying. This is also the reason why Uchiha Toshiro did not pay too much attention to socializing with classmates. If you build too deep a bond with your classmates, you will inevitably feel sad when you hear the news of their death. Although this is not a bad thing for Uchiha. After stepping out of the gate of the ninja school, Toshiro walked slowly towards home. As the distance got longer and the flow of people dispersed and gathered, a large group of Uchiha boys and girls gathered around him. A large group of people, from each grade of the ninja school. The number of Uchiha students ranged from more than 10 to 7 or 8. There were nearly 50 people in the 6 grades. How is Toshiro? Have you let those guys over there know how powerful we Uchiha are? He patted Toshiro's shoulder heavily. As the visitor spoke, he pointed to another direction of the road with his eyes. On the other side of the road, there was another group of ninja school students with a larger number walking on the road. They were either a dozen or 20 people, or 7 or 8 people gathered together. Over there were all core members of the Hokage family, headed by the Sarutobi and Shimura families, and gathered Dino, Deer, Chu, Tatsune, Mitaman and other families. This is the family settlement area of Konoha. Since the establishment of Konoha village, the major ninja families have basically gathered in this large area. In the distance, there were also members of the Hyuga, Aburame, Inuzuka and other families walking on the road. However, the number of people was very different from that of the Uchiha side, and the difference between the number of Hyuga and Uchiha was not too great. It is said that the school is a small society, and Uchiha Toshiro deeply agrees with this. Even in the ninja school in another world, the students are only 6 to 12 years old. Represented by Sarutobi, where the Hokages gathered his allies Ino, Deer, Chu, Shimura, Tatsune and others. The Hokage clan is made up of a large number of core family members who are loyal to the Hokage. Led by the Hyuga clan, it gathers the Aburame, Inuzuka, Yui and other large and medium-sized families to form the family ninja. The civilian ninja is made up of ordinary civilians or descendants of civilian ninjas. Then there is the Uchiha clan that no one can get involved with. These are the major social circles of the ninja school, which fully reflects the gap between the major classes in Konoha village. Of course, a test of this level is a piece of cake, and it's easy to pass. The person who talked to Toshiro was Uchiha Yukido, who hunted with him last time. Chapter 32 Differences. As expected, you are Toshiro. Unlike some guys, they were taught a lesson by the fat pig of the Akimiki clan in the Taijutsu class, which brought shame to our Uchiha clan. Uchiha Yukito is a guy with a strong sense of family honor. He talks about Uchiha clan every other sentence. Shut up, Yukido. I am just a little inferior in Taijutsu sparring. I will beat him soon. Besides, I am far better than him in ninjutsu, shuriken throwing and other aspects. Uchiha Mamoru on the side hurriedly explained. Because he was too excited, his cheeks even flushed a little. Uchiha Mamoru, who is already a sophomore in the ninja school this year, is quite talented in ninjutsu and genjutsu. However, it is a pity that his efforts in taijutsu are always not rewarded. His figure is slightly thinner than his peers in the family. Strength has never been his strong point. His speed is just barely acceptable. This time in the taijutsu sparring, he met Akimaki Kazuito from the same class. It felt like a rat trying to pull a turtle and had no idea where to start, and in the end, he could only lose the competition helplessly. During the period of the ninja school, there were only two families in Konoha that could compare with the Uchiha in terms of physical skills. One was the Hyuga family and the other was the Akimaki family. The Hyuga family relied on its family-inherited soft fist, and most of the time, they could even suppress the Uchiha family. The Akimaki family was evenly matched. Because of their size, they had a great advantage in physical training. However, speed and flexibility have always been the obvious shortcomings of the Akimaki family. Really? Don't just talk and don't practice, otherwise if you lose to them next time, you will lose all our face. No way. One day and one we very directly reflected the contradiction between the Uchiha and the Hokage line. Although this was just a fight between children, it was not worth mentioning. It also invisibly showed the attitude of the Konoha high level towards the Uchiha. For the three families like the Pig, Deer, and Chu, Toshiro, who had watched the TV anime, still had a certain good impression of them. However, after 2 years of understanding the actual situation, that good impression has disappeared. As the iron ally of the Sarutobi clan, the so-called three families of the Hokage always take the Sarutobi clan as the standard in their attitude towards various matters in the village, especially in the matter against the Uchiha clan. They are even more aggressive. They often act as the vanguard. Of course, the rewards they get for doing so are also quite generous. The squad leader of the senior ninja class, the director of the intelligence department, the civilian staff of the administrative department, even the front-line combat command center is full of the figures of these three families. Are they the only ones suitable for these jobs? Obviously not. It is just caused by the Hokage in order to better control Konoha. It is similar to the conflicts between the Hokage and the Uchiha clan. The children of the family and the children born to ordinary civilians also don't get along with each other and don't like each other. On the one hand, they are proud of their family's blood limit, secret techniques, ninjutsu inheritance and long history of ninjas. On the other hand, they are very disgusted with the arrogant attitude of the other party and often have conflicts of varying sizes. Even after school, it was not uncommon to see such fights in the grove. Birds of a feather flock together. People are divided into groups. The ancients are not deceiving me. Of course, there are differences in the relationship between them. Ordinary civilians, or children born in ninja families are closer to the Hokage. This is influenced by the master-apprentice system, a ninja relationship that only appeared after the establishment of the ninja school. The Uchiha and the children of the family headed by the Hyuga are in a state of never interacting with each other. After all, whether it is the second-generation Hokage or the third-generation Hokage, their attitude towards the Uchiha is clear. No family will take the huge risk of offending the Hokage to interact with the Uchiha. I'm back, waving goodbye to his companions along the way. Uchiha Toshiro pushed open the gate and returned home. Is Sister Miki not home yet? Seeing that there was no one at home, he was a little surprised at first, but after thinking about it in his mind, he roughly understood the reason. Speaking of which, Sister Mika seems to have started a relationship now. 18 years old is considered late marriage in the family. Am I a burden to her? Influenced by the Warring States period, marriages in the ninja world are generally early, especially in the ninja family. Of course, it is also very common for some mavericks to marry late or even not marry. At this time every day, Uchiha Mika was always in the kitchen preparing dinner. After 2 years of feeding, he has become accustomed to it. After a little thought, Dong Shilang prepared to cook dinner himself today. It is a reward for himself and a thank you to Uchiha Mika. At the same time, he also hopes to dispel her concerns that she doesn't know if they exist. He opened the refrigerator and checked it briefly, took out various ingredients and steamed rice. Dong Shilang began his first cooking in the 2 years since he came to the ninja world. Dice the beef, peel the potatoes, and beat the eggs. After a series of operations, the movements were smooth and not unfamiliar at all. It only took about half an hour. A table of unique home-cooked dishes in the ninja world was placed on the table. Potato stewed with beef, fried river fish, tomato and egg soup, and a kohlrabi dish. There were not many dishes, only 3 dishes and 1 soup, but they were nutritious and filling. At the same time, there was the sound of someone changing shoes at the door, and Mika Akaya's greeting, "I'm back, welcome home." Dong Shilang put 2 servings of rice on the table, and greeted them while looking up. Unlike the usual energetic, youthful and beautiful girl, Mika Akaya today had a little fatigue between her eyebrows. She was like a doctor who had performed surgery for several hours without eating or drinking. "Hey, are these all prepared by Dong Shilang?" "I'm surprised." Looking at the food on the table, Mika Akaya said in surprise. The 3 dishes and 1 soup on the table were not exquisite, but they were also above standard. "Yes, it has always been Mika who has been taking care of me. Today, it's my turn to take care of Mika." Mika Akaya was deeply moved when she heard this. In her excitement, she even picked him up. With a pop sound, she gave him a big kiss on the face. Under Akaya Tawashiru's strong protest, Akaya Mika rarely made such intimate gestures. It was just that she was in a low mood and suddenly received a surprise, which made it difficult for her to control herself. "Put me down quickly, Mika. Shouldn't the most important thing you do now be to taste my cooking?" Good. I didn't expect Tawashiru to be shy at such a young age." She put Tawashiru on the ground with a smile, and didn't forget to pinch his little face. She picked up the chopsticks on the table and tasted several dishes prepared by Tawashiru one by one. "The taste is quite good." There is also in the evening. Chapter 33 Stalemate. In the evening, the setting sun shines on the village. The barking of cats and dogs can be heard in the village. The sound of children laughing and playing, the darkening sky and the smoke from cooking, are like a fairyland in a dream. Cooking smoke is a portrayal of life and a bond of emotion. It is always the concern in the dreams of ninjas and the call of family. At the dining table of Akaya Tawashiru's home in the Akaya residence of Konohagakure village. "How is it, Sister Mika? Is it okay?" In his previous life, he had lived alone for a long time. He was tired of eating street stalls, so he had to do it himself to satisfy his increasingly delicate stomach. Although his cooking skills are not as good as those of professional chefs in big hotels, it is just a few simple home-cooked dishes. It is no problem for him. It's quite delicious. I didn't expect Tawashiru to be so talented in cooking. Putting down the chopsticks in his hand, Akaya Mika looked at the boy across the table and couldn't help but let go of a worry in his heart. Just like the boy was worried that his existence would hinder his aunt's life, Akaya Mika also restrained her emotional problems. On the one hand, it was the shyness that was unique to girls. On the other hand, the existence of Dong Shilang was also an important factor. "Mika looks very tired today. Is it because of the new medicine? The clan doesn't agree to promote it?" Dong Shilang just used his brain a little bit and roughly guessed the whole story, but it was slightly different from what he imagined. "There is no problem on the family side, but the problem is on the village side. The village hopes that the family will only be responsible for the production of this new medicine, and the procurement and sales of raw materials will all be completed by them. For the new medicine that she has devoted nearly 2 years of hard work to." Akaya Mika originally had great expectations, hoping to use it to improve the relationship between the village and the family, and to save the lives of more companions. But things did not go as she wished. She convinced the family with Dong Shilang's rhetoric, but problems arose on the village side. The rift between the village and the family seems difficult to be mended. Only let the family be responsible for production? Isn't this the bottom of the so-called smile curve in the previous life? It's too ugly to eat. After all, this new drug was developed by Akaya. It was even proposed that a large sum of money could be spent to buy the formula of this new drug from Akaya. This is even more nonsense. What is the reason for Akaya to agree to promote this new drug? It is to use this new drug to re-establish relations with the big and small families in the village and restore the family's miserable reputation among the villagers. Several elders in the family disagreed and had a big quarrel in the office of the chief of the Chongshan clan. Seeing Uchiha Mika's slightly dim eyes, Dong Shilang couldn't help but secretly blame himself for coming up with such a bad idea. It is indeed a wise saying that it is better to do less than more. Sister Mika, is there any response from the medical department? The medical department? They did order a batch of new medicine, but the quantity is not large. She was a little slow to react to Tawashiru's sudden question, and she thought about it for a while before answering. Then there is no problem. With the help of the medical department, it is not too difficult to promote this new medicine. How can it be that simple? Without the help of the village, it must be difficult for the family to promote this medicine on its own. Thinking of the family's dismal reputation in the village, Uchiha Mika said almost pessimistically, "It's enough to have the help of the medical department. The medical department usually treats the wounded who have been evacuated from the battlefield or the mission. Anyone with a slightly more serious injury cannot survive in Konoha, let alone be sent to the medical department for treatment." Sister Mika, do you think the ninjas in Konoha village are afraid of death? Uchiha Tawashiro asked confidently. Afraid of death? Hearing this question, she was a little confused for a while. Are the ninjas in the village afraid of death? No, they are doing it to protect the village. In the First Ninja World War and the Second Ninja World War, whether it was the village or the family, ninjas went to the battlefield one after another to protect the village and the peace and never returned to Konoha. Aren't you afraid? As a medical ninja, although her surname is Uchiha, she not only treated Uchiha ninjas, but also many companions in the village. There were successes and failures. Regardless of their surnames, whenever a wounded person could not hold on, the attachment and reluctance in their eyes at the time of parting were deeply touched by her. An outsider who knew or did not know them, they were husbands that their wives waited for, and fathers that their children admired. Seeing the blank expression of Auntie, Dong Shilang hurriedly explained, the village only let the family be responsible for the production of this new medicine. It's nothing more than that they are sure that our reputation is too bad and there is no way to promote it. With the medical department as a breakthrough, I believe that those ninjas who often participate in dangerous missions will definitely come here. With the first one, there will be the second and third ones. It just takes a little longer. The village can't prohibit ninjas from spending their own money to buy a good medicine with super effects. As for the procurement of raw materials, even if they leave Konoha village, there are a large number of medicinal material merchants in the Land of Fire. Hearing Uchiha Tawashiru's explanation, Uchiha Mika's eyes became brighter and brighter. Suddenly, she slapped the chopsticks on the table with a pop, propped up her hands and prepared to go out. Wait a minute, Sister Mika, don't be so anxious, listen to me. Hearing Tawashiru's words, Uchiha Mika paused, frowned slightly and thought for a while. Then she sat down at the dining table again, staring at him with her eyes, as if she was going to stare out the blood limit passed down by the Uchiha family. Don't worry, Sister Mika, what you have to do now is actually very simple. Take some time to teach the method of preparing this new medicine to the person in charge of making secret medicine in the clan. Convince the clan leader to allocate a sum of money to you, and purchase a batch of medicinal materials in advance before the village reacts. Isn't it inappropriate for us to do this? Isn't it obvious that we are singing against the village? Suddenly, it seemed that something had occurred. How can you say that we are singing against the village? We are just contributing our own Uchiha strength to protect the ninja, the village, and everyone. Dong Shilang rolled his eyes and said, well, when you apply for funds from the clan leader, you must also tell him the nice words I just said. And have you thought of the name of the family secret medicine? Well, let's give it a simple one. Just call it Uchiha secret medicine. It's simple and clear. Doesn't the family like to print the family emblem everywhere? Print it on the secret medicine as well. Don't be so anxious. You just had a meeting with the clan leader and the security force, and now you are rushing over. It will arouse suspicion. It's not too late to go there tomorrow. How can those nice words be useless? Those nice words are the most important. They can shut up the Hokage, and remember not to tell the clan leader that the idea was mine. The voice of Uchiha Tawashiru's mumbling rang out at the dinner table, while Uchiha Miko looked at him steadily with a happy and relieved expression. Nissan, Toshiro has really grown up. Chapter 34 Late Autumn. In the late autumn of the 39th year of Konoha, at the Uchiha clan's Toshiro residence, a melodious and cheerful flute sound slowly came. Sometimes it was high-spirited, sometimes it was crisp and melodious, and sometimes it was intermittent. It can make people feel comfortable and happy. The floating flute sound accompanied by the breeze made people feel excited. Pa pa pa, the song ended, and then there was the enthusiastic applause of the audience. Even though the old house where he lived was a little remote, it couldn't stop people from yearning for beautiful music. No matter how many times I hear it, Toshiro's eagle song is so pleasant. Toshiro, you skipped class again. Even if the courses in the ninja school are boring, but skipping classes is not what a good child should do. Thank you for your compliment, Grandpa Hong. I was just killing time after practicing. And Grandpa Lily, the ninja school has some cultural courses in the morning, and I have mastered them all. The two widowed elderly people praised and teased him. They are all neighbors who live next door to Toshiro, and they are all members of the Uchiha clan. Grandpa Hiro used to be a special jonin who opened the double-handed Sharingan. Later, he lost his right arm in a battle. Although he survived, he had to retire sadly and ended his ninja career. After his husband passed away, he lived separately from his children because of his strange temper. Grandma Lily herself is not a ninja, but her husband and son both participated in the last war and died in the end, leaving her alone. The old lady rarely goes out, and only occasionally can you see her lonely back in the family cemetery. Toshiro is a child with good talent and is willing to work hard. Staying in the ninja school every day is simply a waste of time. In my opinion, joining the security force early is the best choice. As a special jonin who once opened the Sharingan, even if he has been idle at home for many years after retirement, he has the necessary vision and knowledge. Because of different experiences and concepts, the two expressed different opinions on Toshiro's skipping classes. As a former ninja, even if he paid a painful price, Uchiha Hero still believes that protecting the family and the village is the Uchiha's mission. Since Dong Shilang is so talented, he should join the security force. Contribute to the family and the village. As an ordinary person, Uchiha Lily, after experiencing the sacrifice of her husband and son, is not interested in the profession of ninja. Although she is not easy to object due to the tradition of Uchiha, but she still hopes that Dong Shilang can have a happy childhood. Although the two have completely different views on the profession of ninja, however, they all appreciate Dong Shilang's music equally. At this time, Dong Shilang was wearing a white uniform similar to Taekwondo training uniform, and a ninja fishnet underwear. The family emblem of the flame fan was embroidered on the back, and a fiery red belt was tied around the waist. His long hair over his shoulders was tied into a ponytail, and a few strands of bangs fluttered in front of his forehead. His eyes were dark and clear, and his eyebrows and eyes still looked immature, but a heroic spirit was about to burst out. At this time, he was sitting cross-legged on the corridor outside the house, holding an emerald green flute in his hand. He felt helpless watching the two old people on the left and right who were slowly arguing because of his skipping class. Since Uchiha Mika got married half a year ago, Uchiha Toshiro began to live alone. Although Sister Mika came to help clean the house every week after marriage and prepared a table of delicious food, he gradually felt lonely and bought a flute. Occasionally playing the music of his previous life was a way to commemorate the past and relieve the boredom brought by cultivation and loneliness. Unknowingly, he attracted two listeners. It's almost noon. Grandpa Hong and Grandpa Lily, do you want to stay for lunch? My cooking skills are still good. Hearing this, he looked at the sky. The two old people got up at the same time, left the courtyard and went their separate ways. As for staying for dinner, they had never considered it. At their age, how could they eat at an orphan's house? After watching the two old men leave, Uchiha Toshiro also got up and went into the house to prepare lunch for today. He is not yet 8 years old, but now he is 135 centimeters tall and weighs nearly 35 kilograms. With the white martial arts uniform and the ponytail on his head, he looks like a samurai, more like a ninja. Yes, it's a ponytail. It looks like John Chilin in the anime under one person in his previous life. If he is equipped with a samurai sword, his appearance will be no different from Batouzayan Kenshin of Haiden Mikuru in Ryurani Kenshin, the Tales of Ryurani Kenshin. Ever since he found out that men in this world can also have long hair, he has been tempted. After all, long hair and a sword, traveling around the world, and then a song of heroes saving beauties, and a long love story. This is a dream that every boy has in his heart. At this moment, as the shadow clones in the school class in the morning were released, a new memory flooded into his brain. Interesting, it seems that there will be something fun to do in the afternoon. The 8-year-old Uchiha Toshiro always has 3 shadow clones to assist in his training. It's not that he doesn't want to create more shadow clones, but he can't afford to keep doing it for too long. The shadow clone technique is very popular in the ninja world. But why is it that only Uzumaki Naruto uses it a lot to assist in his practice? The physical and mental fatigue caused by the removal of the clones is not large in number, and most jonin can overcome it. The reason why everyone gave up this way of practice is because of the consumption of chakra. Just like when you light a candle, it burns fuel every moment. Once the shadow clone technique is performed, even if the clone lies still and closes his eyes to rest, the chakra will slowly be consumed over time. For ordinary ninjas, accumulating chakra to activate the body is not enough, so how can they be willing to waste it like this? Even if it is Toshiro himself, if he didn't have a thorough plan for the activation of the body, he would not choose the path of shadow clones. Even if his chakra amount has steadily reached the upper limit of genin, and he still takes a 2-hour nap at noon every day, Toshiro can only barely do it to supply 3 shadow clones with low energy consumption activities. Every morning, one of my shadow clones goes to the ninja school to study, one of my shadow clones practices changing the nature of fire chakra at home, and another one practices condensing yang chakra at home. My main body practices physical strength. In the afternoon, I decide whether to arrange for one of my clones or my main body to go to school, depending on the class schedule of the day. Well, it seems that I can have a good rest this afternoon. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Changes. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon of the same day, at the entrance of the Uchiha station, with his hands in his pockets, he wore a white hooded sweatshirt, a pair of gray mid-length pants, and a pair of ninja sandals. With bandages on his wrists and calves, Toshiro slowly crossed the red torii gate at the entrance of the station. He was not interested in the cotton turtleneck and dark blue t-shirt that were passed down from his family. After he started to grow his hair long, his dressing style slowly changed to that of his previous life. It was mainly sports and casual style. Of course, every time he changed into new clothes, he would not forget to ask Sister Mika to help him embroider the family flame fan emblem on his back. After all, being too independent is not a good thing, and people still have to fit in. Did you hear about Toshiro's afternoon? Uchiha Hideo, a peer who chose to go home for dinner without a lunchbox, asked beside him with a mysterious look on his face. Oh, I heard about it. I didn't expect things to develop to this point. While nodding to the friends gathered around him, he answered Hideo's question. Apparently, Hideo was not the only one who made the same choice as him at noon. It was convenient to live close to the school. Toshiro is really calm. He looks so confident. He deserves to be the top student. After entering the ninja school, Toshiro did not hide his abilities. With his powerful strength, swift speed, excellent reaction ability, and just physical skills, he obtained the honorable title of top student. Of course, this was without considering that he had created multiple shadow clones to assist in his training. We will just have to act according to circumstances. Asaka, why aren't you with Hamura today? Chatting and laughing along the way, a group of boys and girls walked into the school. Then they went back to their respective classes. In the classroom of the second grade, 1, of the ninja school, as soon as he entered the classroom, the bell rang. Toshiro sat on his desk. He took out a book called Anecdotes and Strange Stories and read it with great interest. For nearly 4 years, In order to better understand chakra in the ninja world, Dong Shilang can be said to be a well-read person. The books Dong Shilang borrowed were not limited to those related to ninjutsu, but involved many aspects such as history, mathematics, physics, military tactics, formations, and bloodline limit introductions. And he did not read this anecdotes and tales simply to kill time, although some of the things recorded in it were quite interesting. For example, the story he was reading now recorded a mythological story in the Kingdom of Wind. Legend has it that before the appearance of ninjas, an evil ghost appeared in the Kingdom of Wind. Relying on a terrifying demon under his command, he brought disaster to the world. Anyone who disobeyed his orders and did not offer sacrifices would be sent to destroy the village and country where he was. Until one day, a giant who stood tall and upright defeated the demon and the evil ghost in order to save the people. However, the aftermath of the battle left the Kingdom of Wind in ruins. Another legend records that the Six Paths sage held a sword of creation, defeat the evil god of destruction, shatter the earth, water, fire and wind, stir up the sea of chaos, and separate the yin and yang worlds, maintain the peace and stability of this world, and create the ninja sect to spread chakra, hoping that people can connect their hearts and live in peace. Another example is an island around the land of fire. Every 10 or several decades, a thick fog will suddenly fall on a certain day. The residents of the entire island will fall into an illusion. In the illusion, there is no pain, hunger and death. Instead, there is an endless supply of delicious food and wine, and beautiful women are available for you to pick. The rivers flow with milk and honey, and the materials used for construction are gold and silver. There are all kinds of legends, all kinds of strange and bizarre. Toshiro heard that after school for Uchiha today, a fat boy sitting next to him asked with concern. The fat boy's name is Toshiro. He looks ordinary, a little shy, and is a child from a civilian family. In the past 2 years, he would ask Toshiro some questions about chakra and practice from time to time. At first, he was hesitant and looked like he couldn't speak. After getting familiar with him, he gradually communicated with him more. He was a nice person, so he didn't hide anything and told me everything he knew. Since more than a year ago, when the Uchiha family's ninja supplies store began to sell a kind of Uchiha secret medicine, the family's communication with the outside world gradually increased. The mysterious veil was lifted. From time to time, people would come to the Uchiha residence to take a look and buy some special products. See what is different about this current Konoha's first powerful family. Occasionally, someone would go to the family's shrine to ask for a fortune, or ask about marriage, or pray for peace. Even Toshiro, this kid, only started to communicate with Toshiro after that. Most ordinary people are law-abiding. Although they will look at the Uchiha strangely, they are not afraid or resentful. It's just that the people in the village are intimidated by the Uchiha's reputation and don't communicate with them much. With the intentional guidance of some people, things will slowly develop step by step in a certain direction. Although the special medicine thing did not go as the family wished, it roughly achieved the family's goal. The final result was that the family and the village each took a step back. The village added the special medicine to the ninja conventional medical supplies catalog, and only sold this medicine in the Uchiha ninja supplies store, and provided most of the raw materials for this special medicine. The remaining part was produced by the family itself, and the benefits brought were self-evident, like the exquisite shuriken and kunai specially made by the cat village. Some families have made some special items such as medicated oils and ointments specially made for ninja training, and their sales have soared. As a result, the number of vital people in the family has greatly decreased. After everyone has something to do, the usual bragging, farting, and scolding of the Hokage have also decreased a lot. No matter where you are, it is necessary to engage in foreign trade economy and increase the employment ratio. For this reason, Uchiha Mika, who had just got married, followed the ideas provided by Dong Shilang and the strong support of the chief of the Changshan. The medical ninja who led the Uchiha clan has invested in the research of new drugs. One is to continuously upgrade the current hemostatic drugs to further enhance their coagulation effect. This allows it to have a better effect on wounds that penetrate and exceed a certain depth. One is a variant of the current hemostatic agent, weaken its hemostatic function and highlight its healing and anti-infection properties, so that it can play a greater role in the rear. The last one is based on the psychotropic drugs that Uchiha specifically uses to stimulate the brain and enhance pupil power. Only its effects of stimulating the brain and invigorating the spirit are retained to save the dying seriously injured. It allows them to cheer up again when their lives are in danger. They will not fall into a coma, which will increase the success rate of the operation. Chapter 36. Fight. Hey, have you heard about this incident? I remember that Liang usually concentrates on cultivation and doesn't get involved in these messy things. This kid is disliked by his friends because he is a little fat. He has few friends in the class and a very narrow social circle. He usually listens carefully in class. Even when he goes home to rest after school, he will practice more on his own. He works hard to improve his cultivation, like a good student. Although I don't pay attention to this kind of thing, I'm not deaf. You guys made such a big deal, how could I not know? Well, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going to have a big fight with them after school. As he said this, he signaled with his eyes. He looked at the family members sitting in the front row with different patterns embroidered on their backs. Is this a genius? He is really fearless. Uchiha really deserves to be the first rich family in Konoha. Even when facing the joint efforts of the children of those big families, he is still as tough as ever. After more than a year of contact with this deskmate, Shishida Liang also has his own understanding. He sits quietly at his desk and reads books every day with a cold expression, but he is surprisingly easy to talk to. Every time he is asked some questions about practice, he always answers seriously. After answering, he will explain the principles to him, so that he knows the truth and the reason. For ninjas, such knowledge has always been a secret. Unless they are blood relatives or true master-disciple relationship, they will never be taught. He is powerful and knowledgeable, and unlike most family children, he does not look down on ordinary civilians like them. He also has a gentle personality, mainly because he is not disliked because he is fat. It seems that he felt Tawashiro's gaze. A boy with a yellow ponytail in the front row turned around and glared at him. This seemed to have caused a chain reaction. Whether it was the pineapple-headed kid next to him or the classmate at the next table, they all turned around and saluted him. You guys, are my lectures so unbearable? I am so disappointed. You are simply the worst class of students I have ever taught. All of you, stand in the corridor as punishment. Teacher Aoyama, who was facing the blackboard and drawing a Shrike flight path with chalk just now, suddenly turned around. His face was full of anger, and even on his bald head that could make people dizzy in the sun, there were lines of blue veins protruding. How could such obvious little movements of the kids in the front row be hidden from Aoyama Ryosuke, who is a chunin? In order to maintain the order of the class, and for the dignity of his own as a teacher, he ruthlessly drove these annoying kids out of the classroom. A bunch of idiots. This is good. Punish together. Teacher Aoyama is really bold. The dust on the podium was shaken up by him. The yellow-haired Yamanaka Taman. His senses are very sharp. He was touched by just a glance. After leaving the classroom, the children of the families in the front row had no intention of letting Dong Shilang go. They all stared at him with sharp eyes, as if their eyes could kill him. Dong Shilang was too lazy to argue with them, and just glanced at them sideways. However, with his height that was half a head taller than his peers, in the eyes of the other kids, it was his disdain for them. Sarutobi Ruai, who was usually arrogant, how could he bear such a provocation? Usually, he looked at those small families and civilian children with such a contemptuous look. Being treated like this at this time, he had to roll up his sleeves and have a good argument with the guy opposite him. Well, although the opposite is the top student, I am not afraid of being 6-1 on my side! Ruai, calm down. The teacher is in the classroom. If you start a fight now, you will only make the other guys laugh. We will settle the score with them after school. The kid with a pineapple-haired head was relieved to see his companion calm down. As the nephew of the Hokage, this guy is usually very arrogant. He just got a sidelong glance and couldn't help but lose his temper. It's probably because Dong Shilang is better than him in everything in the class. This guy is really a pervert. He is the first in the class in ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, hand seals, and theoretical knowledge. The so-called settle down seemed quite childish to Uchiha Toshiro. It was just two gangs of kids who didn't like each other. They agreed to go to the grove behind the school after school for a ninja duel. That's right, it was a fight. This made Toshiro sigh. The kids in the ninja world are really social, with a style of not caring about life and death and fighting if they don't agree. The name Ruai is very interesting. Was it inspired by Sarutobi's transformation technique? But bullying classmates, occasionally, that's okay. He ignored the furious Sarutobi Ruai next to him, standing in the corridor outside the classroom, looking at the reserve ninjas who were doing outdoor activities. Toshir's mouth corners slowly curled up, and his eyes narrowed into a slit. In his previous life, in order to cross the single plank bridge, he turned a deaf ear to the outside world when he was in school, and only read the books of sages. As a result, he missed a lot of good memories. When the classmates got together, everyone recalled the ridiculous things they did when they were young, and he could only listen quietly by the side. This time, there is a chance to make up for this regret, so why not? This time in the ninja school, the Uchiha family and the little kids of the ninja families such as Pig, Deer, Chew, and Sarutobi, they agreed to settle their grievances in the grove after school. The cause was quite simple. A year and a half ago, Uchiha Mamoru lost to Akimaki Kazuhito of the Akimaki family in a taijutsu sparring class. After half a year of hard work, he won back. Since then, the two have been facing each other as rivals. For more than a year, every time there is a taijutsu sparring class, the teacher arranges the two to fight, and each wins and loses. It was just in the most recent fight. Unfortunately, Uchiha Mamoru lost again and couldn't help but shout "Fat Pig." Then, under the deliberate guidance of some people with ulterior motives, things got out of control. From the beginning, the conflict between the two people gradually escalated to the grade they belonged to, and then to the families they belonged to. The Yamanaka and Nara families, who were closely related to Akimaki, were also involved. Although it was the combined strength of the three families, they still seemed to lack confidence in the face of the Uchiha family. They also pulled in the Sarutobi family and other families. The leaders of several families in the ninja school discussed and unanimously decided to let these unruly Uchiha know who is the boss in the school. Chapter 37, The Grove. The ding-ling-ling school bell rang softly, spreading throughout the ninja school. They had already accepted the torture of the entire afternoon. Many brave students had already sneaked out of the back door of the classroom before the teacher stepped out of the classroom, and rushed towards the school gate. They were eager to escape from this cage that seemed to imprison their bodies and spirits. Groups of familiar students or students who were on the same way gathered at the school gate. They walked along the familiar road towards home. However, if you look closely, you can find that many groups of 3 or 5, or groups of more than 10 teenagers have left the team going home. They turned into a small road next to them. These children who turned into the small road in groups are slightly different from those who listened carefully in class and went home honestly after class. They seemed to be more social. Some of them crossed their arms and looked calm, or they put their hands in their pockets and pretended to be cool. Their expressions are very much like those of down-and-out wandering samurai or street thugs. Going forward along this path, you will come to a huge cherry blossom forest in just a few moments. Although it is autumn now, some special varieties, such as October cherry, little Heigan cherry and metal cherry, are still in bloom. When the autumn wind blows, petals fall like rain, making the whole grove full of fragrance. It is said that this cherry blossom forest was planted by the first generation Hokage when the ninja school was first established. From time to time, you can see old trees that require 2 or 3 people to hug, and each one is growing amazingly. But now none of this matters. In the middle of the grove, on a relatively large open space, 2 groups of ninja school students are confronting each other. One group has fewer people, but their clothes are relatively uniform, except for occasional exceptions. Most of them are wearing dark blue high-neck long-sleeved shirts. The other group with more people is not so particular. They are dressed in a variety of ways, and it can be seen that they are from different families. Fortunately, the materials of the clothes are relatively expensive. The side with fewer people is mainly black-haired and black-eyed. Occasionally, there are a few children with brown hair. However, they all have a common feature. They all carry the family crest of the flame fan, and there are only 26 or 7 of them, less than 30 people. The side with more people, whether it is hair color or eye color, they are all relatively messy, and the family crests on their backs are even more varied. There are Sarutobi, Shimura, Yamanaka, Akimiki, Nara and other well-known families in Konoha, with a total number of nearly 60 people. Uchiha AKAN, if you don't give us a satisfactory explanation for this matter, we will definitely make you look bad. Explanation? What explanation do you want to give? Sarutobi Shimura, do you think we will be afraid because you have more people today? Ridiculous. If this works, we don't have to fight. We can just compare numbers directly. Arrogant. I will let you know what regret is. You are just a loser. If you didn't rely on your numbers, I'm afraid you wouldn't even have the courage to speak loudly to me. At the forefront of the confrontation between the two groups, there are 2 teenagers of 11 or 12 years old. They are exchanging words and confronting each other. The 2 of them are the representatives of their respective sides. This year, they are both 6th-year students of the ninja school, and they will graduate in less than 2 months. From their conversations, we can tell that they don't get along well with each other. It turns out that fighting between students of the ninja school is so interesting. First, they have a verbal duel, trying to gain the upper hand in momentum. Is this Cherry Blossom Forest the place where Uzumaki Kushina was bullied by her classmate's brother in the original work? I remember that brother who had graduated from the ninja school seemed to be beaten back by Kushina in the end. Mixed in the crowd of Uchiha, unlike the serious-looking friend next to him who looked like he was facing a great enemy. Dong Shilang was shaking his head and looking around. Uchiha-chan, why are you still wasting time talking to them? Just start fighting. Sarutobi Arata, what are you waiting for? Fight. Are we here to see you chatting here? That's right, hurry up and strike first. We are still waiting to go home for dinner. An untimely urging voice broke the atmosphere between the two. Looking back, they all found themselves surrounded. A large group of people had already arrived in the grove. Unlike the 2 groups of boys who were confronting each other, there were new men and women, from 1st-year students to 6th-year students who were about to graduate. Some of them stood on the cherry trees, looking down at this side from above, or they stood under the cherry trees. They leaned against the tree trunks and looked over here, each of them excited. They looked like they were watching the excitement. This was the reason why Tawashiro's desk mate Shishidorio said that the matter was so big. In the morning, the 2 sides agreed to fight, and there were too many people to notify. So the news spread like wildfire. After hearing the news, these energetic reserve ninjas who had nowhere to vent, they ran around to tell each other, and the news spread from 1 to 10, and from 10 to 100. As a result, the entire ninja school, as long as the students who were not too isolated from the news knew about it. After school, there was a lively scene in the grove. There were probably no less than 300 school students gathered here. Uchiha Akagi and Sarutobi Shimura obviously did not expect it. The conflict between them would eventually turn into what it is now. For a moment, both sides were in a dilemma. Chien and Zin-chun, there is no need for you 2 to fight over such a small matter. After all, you are all partners from the same village. In the future, you will fight side by side on the battlefield. Just then, a young man with long hair, pure white pupils, and elegant appearance walked into the field and said to both sides, "It's still inexperienced." These 2 guys obviously don't know. In a fight like this, the more people there are, the less likely it is to start. If I had known this earlier, there would be no need for the main body to come to class in the afternoon, wasting my afternoon. The one who came out to persuade them to stop fighting was called Hyuga Takashi. Seeing that smooth forehead, I knew that he was a member of the Hyuga clan. But obviously someone didn't want this farce to end so early. 2 SSSSSS sounds of breaking through the air were heard, and 2 egg-sized stones flew over and hit the heads of Uchiha Chien and Sarutobi Zin-chun. X2 despicable. They attacked us by surprise and killed them all. Shameless. They called for help. Everyone follow me. After being attacked, the 2 men retreated a few steps almost at the same time, pointing at their opponents and shouting angrily. This incident stunned Hyuga Takashi, who had just come out to mediate the conflict between the two sides, looking at Kaien and Zinkun in front of him, who were holding their heads and crying in pain. He didn't know for a moment whether it was an ambush set by them or a sneak attack by someone else. Seeing that their boss was injured and accusing the other side of a sneak attack, ambush in advance, the two sides roared and rushed towards each other. Chapter 38, Bullying. Things are finally getting interesting, and I've waited for so long. Speaking of these little brats, it would be a pity if they don't come out to mingle in the future. Wars are frequent in the ninja world, and people from all over the country are banding together for warmth. Organizations with colors such as the Black Dragon Society, the Shinsengumi, and the Great Bird Society are not uncommon. Think about the behavior of Uchiha Ichi's classmate named Kamano and his friends when he was in school in the original work. Dong Shilang is not surprised. It seems that there are people who don't want things to end so hastily like me. Bullying children is the most interesting. It's perfect for relieving your mood and killing time. Looking at the direction where the two stones just flew from, Dong Shilang couldn't help but think, and then said to his friends around him, Ruka, Yan, Hideo, take care of yourselves. Don't let them knock you down in a few moves. There is also an unwritten rule for students in ninja schools to fight privately. Normally, they would only use the three-body technique and instant body technique that they learned in school. Kunai detonation tags and the like were absolutely prohibited, not to mention various lethal ninjutsu and secret techniques. Looking at Sarutobi ninjutsu, who was rushing towards him with a group of friends. As he spoke, he rushed towards them. Uchiha Toshiro, wake up. Today I must smash your stinky face. I get angry just thinking about that guy's disdainful attitude towards me. I am a core member of the Sarutobi family, and I have been praised by my uncle who is the Hokage many times. Whether it is the family members in the class or the civilian students, who doesn't give me 3 points of courtesy, but this guy has a bad attitude and always suppresses me in everything. This is really intolerable. With the resentment that Toshiro has repeatedly stolen his limelight and ignored him and the Sarutobi clan in the past 2 years, Sarutobi ninjutsu took a step forward and punched Toshiro in the face. Facing the opponent's heavy punch, Dong Shilang was not afraid. He just slightly turned sideways to avoid the attack. He even stretched out his legs and tripped the opponent lightly, causing the opponent to fly out because of his fast speed. How could such a direct attack work on him? Ignoring Sarutobi ninja who was flying in the air and screaming, Dong Shilang punched a red-haired fat boy following him. What a heavy punch! Akimaki Nakaji crossed his hands to block the attack and felt his hands numb. He couldn't help but be shocked. It's not that they haven't fought each other in school before. Why is he so fierce today? Is he taking drugs? He didn't know that Dong Shilang had been in the 2nd grade and his chakra had increased. Every time he came to school for class, it was a shadow clone. Even in the afternoon activity class, it was the same. Even so, he could still suppress these classmates. Everyone be careful of this guy. Before he could finish his words, a heavy punch did not get the expected result. Dong Shilang squatted and turned around, and a sweeping kick was launched heavily, attacking his lower body. Ugh! A suppressed painful sound came. Seeing that Akimaki Nakaji had lost his balance due to the previous attack and was falling to the ground, Dong Shilang stood up quickly and raised his leg without hesitation, kicking him in the stomach. What's wrong with this guy today? This is too fierce. Sarutobi Ruki, that idiot, can't find an easier opponent. A little ghost with a pineapple head, just worked together with his yellow-haired companion to catch the flying Akimaki Nakaji. Indeed, because of the great force, both of them fell to their butts. I hope this guy doesn't hit me in the face, otherwise it will be so ugly with bruises on my face. Just as he was about to finish off the two little ghosts who were lying on the ground with a mountain of meat on their bodies. At this moment, a gust of evil wind came from behind. Too arrogant. Don't look down on me. Sarutobi ninja, who was tripped by Toshiro because of his speed, flew 4 or 5 meters away. His face landed on the ground, with blood marks on his face from the friction with the sand and stone ground. He launched a sneak attack from behind Toshiro. Without a trace of panic, he turned his head to avoid the attack, and stretched out his right hand without looking back, and grabbed the fist attacking from the left. He twisted his wrist and bent his palm to hold the opponent's arm, then he lowered his shoulders slightly, bent his legs and squatted slightly, and used the speed of his attack to swing Sarutobi Ninja up. Bang! A loud noise was heard, and Sarutobi Ninja felt himself flying again. Just when he wanted to do something to break the current unfavorable situation, he suddenly became drowsy and fell into a state of downtime. This shoulder throw was not light. Akimaki Nakaharu, who had just come to his senses and was about to climb up from the meat pad under him, before he could stand up, another meatball flew down from the top of his head and hit him heavily. "It's not over yet. I'm kind enough to let you go, but you don't know how to cherish it. In that case, there's nothing more to say." He didn't know why he was so angry about Sarutobi Ninja, but Tawashiro didn't intend to indulge him, so he walked towards the meat mountain and kicked 4 of them one by one. He was quite measured in his attack. After all, they were all classmates, and they would meet each other sooner or later. He just made them lose their fighting power temporarily. Seeing him so brave, the 2nd and 3rd graders of the ninja school surrounding him were all trembling with fear, not daring to breathe. They were afraid that if they breathed too loudly, they would become the target of the opponent. Looking at the meat mountain next to them, there was no need to think about what would happen to them. Let's cherish this hard-earned friendship with our classmates. Ha ha ha. But in a blink of an eye, he completed a wave of 4 kills. Tawashiro's mouth curled up, his eyes narrowed, and he jumped towards the group of friends and issued a warm invitation. Fuck the friendship between classmates. If your classmates end up like the meat mountain over there, then we'd better not be classmates. We know this guy is the top student of our class. He's awesome, but there's no need to be so exaggerated, right? Stop. Don't run. He hit him hard on the chin with a hook. He sent the panicked classmate in front of him into the sky, and kicked him to the meat mountain. With his current level, beating some 2nd and 3rd grade students in the ninja school is almost like bullying. After a while, the meat mountain in front of him was piled up. As expected, bullying is the easiest way to make people feel good. He sent the last junior student standing in front of him to the meat body. Dong Shilang looked around and looked at the situation on the field. He found that the situation on his side was not optimistic. Their juniors were better, but the seniors were basically being suppressed. There was no way. There were too many people, and 2 fists could not beat 4 hands. Chapter 39 Battle. On this day, the ninjas finally remembered the fear of being dominated by those Uchiha, and the humiliation they had suffered because of their incompetence and weakness. Under the afterglow of the setting sun, the bleak autumn wind blew through the grove behind the ninja school. Dong Shilang stood beside a pile of meat consisting of more than 20 people. This line and the exciting and inspiring music rang in his mind. The mental pressure brought by the long and boring training in recent years disappeared, and there was a pleasure after release. Uchiha Dong Shilang admired the predecessors of the major time travelers very much. Each of them could accept the hard training like hell day after day and enjoy it. He couldn't do it. When he first started training, he knew that this was not the way he was suitable. Not everyone can stay young and passionate like Might Guy all his life. Helplessly, he could only relieve his mood by playing some werewolf killing, upgrading, hunting and even participating in this kind of game between children with his friends. Suddenly, there was a light bang, the smoke dispersed, a breeze blew gently, the situation in the smoke was revealed. A boy with short hair and a sinister face appeared on the spot. Under his feet lay a wooden stake broken into 2 pieces. It turned out that just when Dong Shilang was intoxicated with his thoughts, the boy silently touched behind him. Suddenly, chakra burst out, and he used the instant body technique to launch a textbook-like surprise attack on him. You were quite capable. No wonder those trash were beaten so miserably by you in just a few moves. You were really a ruthless move. If I hadn't felt something was wrong and used the substitution technique, I took this attack without any preparation. I guess I am almost the same as the guys lying on the meat mountain now. It turned out that just now, Dong Shilang piled up these young kids in the lower grades. On the other side of the senior grade, he and his friends were suppressing Uchiha Akagi's fight against Sarutobi Shinmura. After looking at the situation around him, veins popped out on his forehead. Although he had an absolute advantage in numbers, he had not yet defeated his opponent, and his accomplices' group of kids had all been KO'd. They were really useless. Yanjiu, take 2 people to deal with the group of kids over there. With no other choice, He could only split a few people from his side to clean up the mess for those annoying kids. If he had known, he would not have brought them along. They were more likely to cause trouble than to help. It turned out that the students who fought were also divided into two groups. The 4, 5, and 6 group of older children aged 9 to 11 were one group. The rest of the kids who had just entered school were one group. This was also to balance the strength. After the number of people besieging him decreased, Uchiha finally breathed a sigh of relief and had time to look back at the situation around him. He was already 11 years old this year, and his strength was that of an ordinary genin, and he might not be his opponent. But the opposite Saratobi Arata was a genius, not too big or small. With so many helpers, he was at a disadvantage for a while. Everyone, cheer up and get rid of these bastards on the opposite side. Don't let the little ghosts in the tribe look down on us. Seeing that Dong Shilang had resolved the battle, he also helped himself and others to attract some firepower. Kayan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and then felt a little ashamed, and couldn't help shouting loudly, "Humphrey!" The last gasp. What big waves can a group of little ghosts make? Saratobi Shimura disdained the shouting of his old opponent. He just thought that the other side was making a last-ditch effort. Looking at the 3 teenagers who were slowly coming over and surrounding him in an inverted triangle, Dong Shilang didn't panic. Instead, he put one hand behind his back and gestured slowly. At the same time, he kept his eyes on the opponent, ready to deal with their attacks at any time. This group of guys is different from the group next to them. They are basically senior students in the 5th and 6th grades. They generally have the strength of genin or close to it. If he doesn't deal with it carefully, he might fall. Dong Shilang was not given time to think about countermeasures. The thin and agile opponent on the left and the ordinary-looking guy on the right attacked him from both sides at the same time. The sinister-looking boy in the middle slowly stepped forward, looking like he was sure of victory. With his eyes narrowed, Dong Shilang was not nervous at all. When the thin and tall guy on the left approached, he suddenly formed seals with his hands, and his chakra burst under his feet, and his figure disappeared from the spot in an instant. What a fast instant body technique! The speed of forming seals is so fast. Ignoring the size of the 2 people in front of him, his figure appeared behind the sinister boy. After appearing, without any hesitation, he swept his lower back with a whip kick. The incident happened suddenly, and the sinister boy failed to block it in time. However, Dong Shilang, who kicked the target, felt that the touch was wrong. Bang! There was a light sound, and the smoke dispersed, leaving a wooden stake broken into 3 sections on the ground. The situation was exactly the same as when he was attacked just now. At this moment, above Dong Shilang's head, a figure was falling rapidly. He bent one leg into a spike. He used gravity to attack Dong Shilang's upper body. Puff! The smoke dispersed, and it turned out that the one attacked was just a clone that remained in the same place. Dong Shilang used the smoke dispersed by the boy's substitution technique just now. He used the transformation technique to turn into a piece of wood and hid in the same place. He created another clone to confuse the opponent. Bang! A loud bang! The sinister boy's gravity spike. Not only did it break the clone, but even the ground was violently shaken and shattered by the chakra gathered on his knees. Damn it! It's just a fight between classmates. You are so fucking cruel. What a hatred and resentment. If I get hammered this time, at least 2 or 3 ribs will be broken. Since you're unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. Taking advantage of the boy's brief stiffness due to the violent collision with the ground, among the 3 broken wooden stakes on the ground left by his substitution technique, one suddenly turned into the appearance of Toshiro. He used a charged uppercut to hit the sinister boy on the chin from bottom to top, knocking him away. After confirming that it was the real body flying in the sky, not the clone or the substitute, Toshiro squatted slightly, exerted force with his legs, and violently burst out chakra, and jumped towards the boy in the sky. He kicked him upside down with the momentum of the upward rush. Bang! 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 Several times in a row, and kicked him higher into the sky. When the boy's upward momentum reached its peak, he grabbed his floating belt. He pulled his wrist hard to make his body parallel to it. He twisted his waist and raised his legs, and made a tomahawk-like chop. He chopped hard towards the boy's abdomen. Chapter 40 Chaos, Lion Combo. After performing this set of physical skills from memory, the venue fell into silence for a while. The boy named Yenjiu fell to the ground at a very fast speed with his body in a V-shape. He landed on his butt first with a bang, leaving a shallow pit on the ground. Dong Shilang still held back. After all, it was just a fight between classmates, and he did not chase him relentlessly when he attacked him from the air to make him fall. Even so, the boy with a sinister face and a ruthless attack spit out blood and fell into a coma. The fight just now was a quick victory. The friends who were paying attention to this side and some of the spectators watching the battle from the outside were stunned. This battle can be said to be a battle between ninjas. Yenjiu attacked first and sneaked up, and then suddenly attacked. After Dong Shilang noticed it, he used the substitute technique to avoid the attack. Then Yenjiu's companions attacked him from both sides. Dong Shilang used the instant body technique to jump out of the encirclement and appeared behind Yenjiu to attack. Yenjiu also used the substitute technique to avoid the attack, and then jumped into the air and launched a gravity thrust at him. Dong Shilang's response was even more classic. He used the smoke created by the substitute technique to perform the clone technique and transformation technique to deceive Yenjiu. Then he used a series of moves to send him into the air, and then he fell to the ground and caught him directly. It can be said to be a classic ninja fighting method. The fight took no more than 20 seconds. Many viewers who had never paid attention to this side, they didn't understand what happened and hurriedly asked their friends around them. It's amazing. Dong Shilang, this guy, can even beat the senior students easily? Hey, these senior guys are not that good either. Let's work together to kill them. Oh, at this time, Dong Shilang's friends found that the leader of the other side was easily defeated. Their morale was boosted, and they formed groups of 3. They surrounded the 2 senior students who followed them and were ready to teach them a profound lesson. I didn't expect it. Shimura Enjiu, who is famous for his ruthless attacks, was easily knocked out by a junior student. Yeah, I didn't expect this guy who usually looks so high and mighty to have such a day. It's really satisfying, thinking about his expression when he woke up. I find it so interesting. TSK, TSK, TSK. He was actually knocked out directly. It made me laugh to death. At this time, the crowd of onlookers had basically understood what had just happened. They all looked at Shimura Enjiu, who was unconscious in a shallow pit on the ground with a playful expression. Some even made sarcastic remarks, and they didn't care even if the person involved couldn't hear them. It can be seen how bad this classmate with a gloomy face usually has a bad relationship with others. Toshiro is really amazing. He defeated Shimura Enjiu in just a few moves. Your wishful thinking has failed. Shinmura, Uchiha, who was fighting with Sarutobi Shinmura, discovered the situation on Toshiro's side. He couldn't help but be refreshed. He even mocked him. His opponent Sarutobi Nimura had a gloomy face. They were just a few junior students. He didn't expect that Shimura Yenjiu usually looked like the boss. The Hokage was the second, and he was the third. He actually fell so hard. What a waste. It made him feel a bit stuck at this time. Let's send more people to deal with this side. Send more people? If there are more, he probably won't be able to suppress Kaien. If he doesn't deal with it, that will be a big problem. Dong Shilang didn't care about the discussion of the group of spectators and the entanglement of Sarutobi Nimura here. After defeating his opponent, he didn't rush to join the battle. Instead, he stood slowly behind the tall and thin man and the ordinary-looking senior student, ready to attack at any time. Create opportunities for Uchiha Longyo, Yan, Hideo and others, so that they can defeat the senior students with their own hands and get some training. At this time, some strange things happened among the crowd watching the battle. Whose dead dog is this? Why don't you let go? Stop, let Tsukuyomaru go? If it gets hurt, I'll never let you go. Among the spectators, a student from a commoner family and a young man from the Inuzuka family had an argument. It started with a quarrel, then slowly developed into a shove, and then turned into a fight. Take advantage of this opportunity today. Let's take revenge and avenge our grievances, someone shouted, and suddenly, in the grove, there were 200 or 300 spectators, and all kinds of conflicts suddenly broke out. Which bastard threw this stone? Fujiwara Yashiori, Let's settle the old scores between us today. Maji Yasuke, I've been annoyed by your arrogant beautiful face for a long time, and today I must beat you up. For a while, saliva and fists danced. Stones and broken teeth flew everywhere. Normally, they would have dealt with several groups of people. From the beginning, there were only a few people, but gradually more and more people were involved. It developed into a large-scale brawl. Unlike Dong Shileng and his group, they had some cooperation, and they were all boys. Now the two groups were basically mixed together. You are in me, and I am in you. There were many girls who came to watch the excitement, and the scene was once chaotic. Even Uchiha Chion and Saratobi Shinmura, who were fighting in the field, had to stop. Looking at the chaotic scene around, he was a little at a loss for a while. He didn't know whether to continue fighting with the opponent or go to the teacher to calm the chaos. At this time, a figure was hiding in the crown of a tall cherry tree. Looking at the increasingly lively scene below, he laughed from time to time. That's right, how can I fight in the field and you watch the excitement outside? Yes. Is this the soft fist of the Hyuga family? Yes. It's much better than the branch family in the class. Wow. Is this the secret technique of controlling insects of the Aburame clan? Foul. We agreed not to use secret techniques. Ouch. Is this little girl with red irises casting an illusion book? Not bad. She is so young and yet she can cast illusions. Amazing. Yes, the figure hidden in the crown of this tall cherry tree is none other than Uchiha Toshiro. It turns out that just now in the air, when he kicked Shimura Tsubasa to the ground, he secretly created a shadow clone, his real body hid in this lush cherry tree. He even took the opportunity to stir up a conflict among the spectators who were watching the excitement below. He hid in the tree, watching the chaos below with great joy. Chapter 41 Ending. Dong Shileng, who was hiding in the tree at this time, was watching the chaotic scene below with great interest. Suddenly, he felt something and turned his head to look in the direction of the path. After 4 years of continuous meditation practice, his perception ability has been further improved. Although he has not practiced special perception ninjutsu, he can always feel something within 200 or 300 meters around him. Through the mottled gaps between the trees, you can see that at the end of the grove, on the path connecting to the school, 8 or 9 figures wearing green chunin vests are rushing towards this side. Each of them looks very nervous. I just received the news that there are 80 or 90 students in the grove to fight, and I am already very nervous, fearing that something unexpected will happen. However, after a brief observation when I arrived nearby, I found that the people fighting were not 80 or 90 people, but 300 or 400 people. From time to time, I can see a line of ninjutsu that is either passed down in the family or taught in the school, being performed by the students. They were so scared that they were sweating profusely. The teacher always appears at the most critical moment. I don't know if some students went to complain, or the teacher got wind of it. But it doesn't matter, the show is almost over. He formed seals with both hands and performed a body flickering technique. Dong Shileng's real body suddenly appeared next to Uchiha Chion, which scared the other party. He almost punched Dong Shileng in the face, but fortunately he recognized him in time and stopped his fist. The teacher of the ninja school will be here soon. If you don't leave now, I guess everyone will have to go back to invite parents. No matter which world it is, the teacher inviting parents is always extremely lethal. He didn't waste time talking to Chion, and directly got to the point. Nani? Hearing this, Uchiha Chion's voice changed. Even though he was about to graduate from the ninja school and become a formal ninja, but the thought of being caught by the teacher and then even Saratobi Shinmura, who was opposite him, was a little panicked for a moment, not knowing whether what Dong Shileng said was true or not. At a moment, the two of them looked around almost at the same time, and saw the green figure at the end of the path. Without bothering to find trouble with the other side, they hurriedly made a gesture to their companions. They supported the more seriously injured companions and began to retreat. The pace of action was surprisingly consistent. Those two guys still have some conscience and know to take their companions with them. The figure flashed a few times and came to Uchiha Longyo, Yan, and Hideo. Retreat. The teacher is here. If you stay here, you will suffer. He raised his hand and made a seal. and released the shadow clone that was watching over Dong Shilang beside them. He also ignored the tall and thin man and the ordinary-looking boy next to them who were still a little confused. He found a direction and ran out of the grove. He didn't bother to ask Dong Shilang whether he had just released a clone or a shadow clone. After hearing this, several people were also shocked. They hurriedly followed Dong Shilang and ran out of the woods. At this time, the teacher's roar came from the edge of the woods. "You bunch of bastards, why don't you stop it?" It was not until they reached the open space that the teachers of the ninja school realized that the problem was a bit serious. Unlike Akayachi and Saratobi and Tobi Shinmura, both sides had leaders to restrain them and had some sense of propriety, but this group of civilian ninjas and family children who were provoked by Dong Shilang and became chaotic. There was no one to manage them. The severity of the attack depended on self-consciousness. From time to time, you can see the shadow of shuriken flying by. The small lethal ninjutsu such as water bullets and fire bullets taught by the ninja school are endless. From time to time, you can see students performing family secrets. Many students who were just passing by were caught in the disaster and joined the battle, making the scene even more chaotic. Seeing that the situation was so bad, the teachers were really pale. They were afraid that something bad would happen and there would be casualties. Then they would not be able to explain. Although there was a death target in ninja training, the casualties caused by fighting each other in this grove were all the result of his poor discipline. At that time, neither the angry parents nor the Hokage would let them go easily. "Everyone run! The school teacher is coming!" As the roar sounded, a cry made the group of hot-headed and confused little ninjas recover a little. At first, no one cared about the roar. Until the later "school teacher is coming," everyone came back to their senses. "Run, don't get caught. Change direction. Damn it, they are blocking us." Teacher, it's none of my business, I'm the victim." In an instant, the group of little ninjas scattered. There was no organization or formation, and they ran towards the outside of the grove together. The teachers who had just arrived were a little overwhelmed. It seems that no matter which world it is, students who are caught by teachers for doing bad things, the performances are all very different. Dong Shilang, who had already escaped the encirclement with his friends, looked back. He saw the audience who had just watched the excitement, looking like dogs that had lost their homes. His eyes narrowed and his mouth curled up slightly. "You all actually want to see me perform monkey tricks for you. Now you know how powerful I am." TSK. One of them went back to school. Did he go to call for medical personnel, or to call for help? "Well, these have nothing to do with me. Go home and have dinner. Today is another happy day." Just as Dong Shilang thought, the school teacher did not expect the situation to develop so seriously. He felt that he was short of manpower, and there were also a few students with slightly serious external injuries. He had no choice but to spare one person to go back to school to call for help, and by the way, invite the medical ninja to come and treat the injuries. This unprecedented fight between ninja school students was finally dubbed the Battle of the Grove. Among them, Akaya Akagi, Saratobi Arata, and Uchiha Toshiro, who performed outstandingly, are well known among the students of the ninja school and have gained a large number of fans. Of course, there is also Shimura Inju, who was caught in a few moves and became a laughingstock. Many students who had suffered a lot under his ruthless methods in the past added insult to injury. If he had not graduated soon, he would probably not have been able to stay in the ninja school. Afterwards, the school teacher made a statistics, and there were about 300 to 400 people involved in the fight. There were nearly 40 injured. Fortunately, everyone suffered some flesh wounds, and they only needed to be bandaged and rest for a few days. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Conjecture. The next morning, on the banks of the Nan River outside the Konoha village, next to a cliff, there was a protruding part on the cliff that was more than 10 meters above the ground. An oak tree as thick as an adult's waist stood straight, like a spike protruding from the cliff, pointing straight to the sky. The wind on the cliff was very strong, and even the oak tree, which was known for its hardness, shook from time to time with the morning breeze. Near the top of the oak tree, at the same level with the horizon, a young man was sitting on the tip of the oak tree, and his figure was swaying in the air with the shaking of the oak tree. It was like a leaf that had broken away from the branch, dancing with the wind, as if it was about to merge into the world. It's really not that simple. He stood up from the stone slab under him. Even with such a big movement, he didn't lose his balance, and he stood steadily on the stone slab. Occasionally, a bird that was looking for food in the morning passed by and would rest on him for a while, not treating him as a ferocious animal that would hurt itself. He flicked his finger and scared away the bird on his shoulder. With a leap, he jumped over the place where he was sitting cross-legged, which was 5 or 6 meters away from the cliff. He let the stone slab under him lose his balance and fell to the bottom of the cliff and was smashed to pieces. Without the toad oil of Meixiang mountain and the special environment, it is really difficult to cultivate into the sage mode. With a sigh, Dong Xilang couldn't help but think helplessly. As time passed, his meditation practice place had been changed to the cliff beside the Nan River. It took a lot of effort to stand in nearly 20-meter-long oak tree on a protruding rock 20 meters below the cliff. It was flush with the cliff and pointed straight to the sky. Does he have to find a way to obtain the spiritual scroll of Meixiang mountain, Richi cave or wet bone forest? Forget it. Although the relationship between the village and the family has improved in the past 2 years. But he is a Uchiha after all, and those 3 ninjas are all disciples of the Hokage. After nearly 4 years of meditation practice, his results are gratifying. His chakra control ability grew rapidly, and he also awakened his perception ability, and his spiritual energy became more and more full and abundant. Since he started practicing a month ago, birds would occasionally land on him to rest. This is the achievement of meditation, and proof that he has reached the threshold of practicing the sage mode. However, the most important step, sensing natural energy, has never been possible. Without the toad oil of Meixiang mountain as a medium, and without the environment full of natural energy. In the end, he failed to successfully sense natural energy. I remember that there was a summoning island in the original work, and the beasts on it were all extremely huge. The island is full of natural energy. I wonder if it will help me sense natural energy? In the original work, this island is called the Island of Oblivion. The summoned beasts on the island are even more huge. Because the war is becoming more and more intense, in order to obtain powerful power, it is also necessary to obtain stronger summoned beasts. Some researchers have created the strongest summoned beast called Ultimate through improvement and innovation. However, things did not go as planned, and the summoned beast Ultimate finally ran away. All the researchers, including a descendant of Uzumaki named Uzumaki Ngakana, were devoured. In the end, with the help of Naruto's protagonist Halo and the chakra left by Uzumaki Ngakana, he dragged her into the magma and sealed her to death. In recent times, whenever Dong Xilang has time, he will find a few anecdotes and tales to read. In addition to killing time, he also looks for clues about the psychic island. He believes in a truth that wherever you go, you will leave traces. There are many islands with huge summoning beasts. Even if the forces that discover them try their best to keep secrets, there will always be some clues that will be revealed inadvertently. And in the process of practicing fairy arts, how to get out of the body of uncontrolled fairy arts chakra, should we try to find the family heirloom flame fan? In his guess, the flame fan passed down from generation to generation by the Uchiha should be made of the branches of the sacred tree. The sacred tree has the ability to absorb natural energy, and it is possible to use it to get out of control fairy arts chakra. If his guess comes true, the ancestors of the Uchiha family really just guard the treasure without knowing how to use it. If that's the case, then we have to plan it out carefully. We can only wait until Nohara dies during the Third World War, and then sneak into Madara's base behind Obito. This is also very risky. What if the timing is not right, and Madara hasn't completely fallen down? Then he has to go up and fight Madara? This is a bit difficult. I can only try to pull out his oxygen tube. Damn it, it's really hard to survive in the ninja world. I can't even lie down, it's so hard for me. He cursed and complained about the god of time travel in some corner. Dong Xilang, who was in a good mood, hummed a little tune and slowly disappeared in this beautiful place where few people came. Wait a minute, Toshiro, come to our house for dinner tonight. Your sister Mika is going to show off her skills tonight and treat us to a meal. Just after entering the station and stepping over the red torii, a hearty voice sounded in front of Toshiro. He looked up at the voice, and under the morning sun, a figure slowly walked towards Uchiha. Brother Meixiang, are you going to the security force for duty? Why don't I see Sister Mika going out with you? The man's name is Uchiha Meixiang, an ordinary member of the Konoha security force. His appearance inherited the usual handsomeness of the Uchiha family. He has a slender figure, black hair and black eyes, and the whole person gives people a sunny and easygoing feeling. But it's a pity that he hasn't opened to Sharingan, and his strength is just an ordinary chunin. Except for the family-inherited fire escape ninjutsu, everything else is unremarkable. But his personality is quite good, and it gives people a just right sense of comfort when getting along with him. Although I feel that he is not worthy of Sister Mika. However, after having several contacts with him, Dong Shilang also recognized this little uncle. It is more important for two people to get along well with each other. The strength of the two people does not have a big impact on the marriage. After all, different people have different tastes. Today, the R&D room has purchased a new batch of research equipment and needs to be reinstalled, so your sister Mika will take a 2-day break. At the strong request of Uchiha Mika, Dong Shilang only called Uchiha Kihiro Big Brother. Fortunately, this Big Brother is also a war orphan, and there are no direct elders in the family, so he doesn't care much about the title. As for Dong Shilang's other uncle, he rarely appears in his life. This uncle and aunt are simply a perfect match made in heaven. They stick together all day long without getting tired of it. Even Dong Shilang, who has seen a lot in the future, couldn't stand it after getting along with him a few times, so it's better not to mention it. Chapter 43, White Fang Incident. The next morning, after finishing his morning lessons, Uchiha Toshiro picked and chosen a food store in the family. Yesterday, he had a sumptuous meal at Sister Mika's house. Today, he was preparing for lunch and dinner. He couldn't help but think of the good times when he was fed. Sure enough, it made sense that he was kept and hugged by someone in his previous life. Aunt Yuriko, your pork is not very fresh. Change it to beef. Well, this beef rib, weighing 10 kgs. Toshiro, I'm not bragging to you. Today's beef was just slaughtered and delivered in less than 2 hours. If you miss today, you won't have such fresh ingredients next time. Oh, then let's get 20 kgs. You have a good eye. Then this spinach will be given to you for free. It's 3,000 taels, and the decimals are removed. Speaking of the prices in the ninja world, it is quite expensive. 20 kgs of beef costs nearly 3,000 taels. You know, in the ninja supplies store, the price of a bittern is only 800 taels, and shuriken is only 200 taels. Aunt Yuriko is good at doing business, and her business will definitely be more prosperous in the future. Hahaha. You are really good at talking. This green onion is also free for you. Thank you. While chatting with Aunt Yuriko, the owner of the food store, at the same time, he pricked up his ears to listen to the discussion of adults on the street outside. Have you heard? I heard that a ninja violated the village rules, resulting in the failure of the mission and causing great losses to the land of fire. A woman who got up early to buy vegetables said mysteriously to her companion beside her. Really? If such a thing happens, the Hokage will definitely punish him. I heard it too. But I heard that the ninja was Hotakesukumo, the White Fang. Before the woman who spoke first expressed her opinion, a housewife who was buying fish next to her heard this and quickly interrupted. White Fang, impossible. Everyone says he is the hero of the village and has saved many of his companions. It's true. I heard a lot of people talking about this here today. At this time, the owner of the vegetable store couldn't help but interject. He also heard a lot of discussions this morning, all of which were discussing this matter. The statements were all similar. The hero of Konoha is known as the White Fang of Konoha. Hotakesukumo's mission failed, causing great losses to the land of fire. Has it time for this to happen? But the person behind the scenes is really, Dong Shilang secretly complained. That is, the Naruto world. These natives who have not been bombarded with information, after being influenced by the internet world in the previous life, Such a superficial manipulation of public opinion is simply unbearable to watch. A ninja of Hataksakumo's level would actually leak out the mission he performed casually, which is simply funny. Dong Shiliang, who has 2 years of study experience in the ninja school and has some understanding of the ninja's confidentiality system, knows too well the tricks involved. At this time, in the Hokage building of Konoha, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had just started work, received a report from his subordinates. After reading the document at a glance, the third Hokage frowned deeply, thought for a while, and called the Anbu with him. Go to the route. Send the Hokage to assist Shimura Danzo. Please come. He gave the order lightly, and ignored the subordinate who left instantly. Instead, he took a deep puff of cigarette and thought quietly. The report just now was sent by the department in the Hokage's office that supervises the public opinion trends in the village. Early in the morning, they noticed this unusual public opinion orientation. Although they didn't know who was secretly guiding it, the subordinates who were slightly aware of the sensitivity of such things did not dare to be careless. They quickly wrote a report and submitted it to the Hokage for his review. The third Hokage didn't have to wait too long. In less than 20 minutes, the door of the Hokage's office was pushed open from the outside. The man who walked in was a middle-aged man in his 50s. He had spiky hair and a white bandage on his forehead. The bandage was tilted down, covering his injured right eye. Only his left eye was exposed, with a sharp eye like a vulture, staring at the Sandaime Hokage and the place where he sat. Danzo, what on earth do you want to do? You want to mobilize public opinion without authorization and attack the meritorious jonin in the village? Without waiting for the man to speak, the Sandaime Hokage took the lead and questioned the visitor harshly. Do you know how bad this will affect the heroes in the village? Action without authorization. Do you still have me as a Hokage in your eyes? Before the visitor sat down, the Sandaime Hokage's questioning voice came out like a machine gun. It seemed that he wanted to express his anger in this way. The hero of the village? Does he deserve the title of hero for the damage he caused to the village and the land of fire this time? The real heroes of the village are those who sacrificed everything to protect the peace and the village in secret. Not him. Hataksakumo, the leader of the route and the assistant Hokage, Shimura Danzo, who called himself the secret guardian of Konoha village, was not afraid of the stage. The stiff answer made the Sandaime Hokage speechless for a moment. Don't you understand yet? Hush on. Konoha's peace cannot be maintained by just saying some nice words. Konoha's peace has always been maintained by our silent sacrifices. Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting behind the Hokage's desk in front of him and wearing the Hokage's conical hat, Shimura Danzo thought with ups and downs in his thoughts. That's not a reason for you to send people to slander him secretly. You should know that the reason why he failed in this mission was to save the lives of his companions. Saving the lives of his companions? How ridiculous. As a ninja, it is your duty to complete the mission. But he betrayed his duty and went to save his so-called companions. Isn't it inevitable for ninjas to make sacrifices in the process of completing their missions? If everyone learns from him, do you know what the consequences will be? The completion rate of the missions in the village will plummet. In the long run, the village will receive fewer and fewer commissions. Can you accept such consequences? I never expected that my former companion would say such a great truth. For a moment, the third Hokage was also a little embarrassed. Which is more important, the mission or the companions? The third Hokage was also a little hesitant for a while. Hiruzen, Hataksakumo regards saving companions as the way of ninja. His reputation has been growing over the years, and even the three ninjas have to avoid him. Chapter 44 Fermentation. Hiruzen, Hataksakumo regards saving his companions as the ninja way. His reputation has been growing over the years, and even the three ninjas have to avoid him. After saying this, Shimura Danzo didn't even look at Sarutobi Hiruzen, but turned around and left. Bang! The door of the Hokage's office closed, and the sound of Shimura Danzo's footsteps gradually receded in the corridor outside the door. In the Hokage's office, the third-generation Sarutobi Hiruzen sat in his chair for a long time without moving. The pipe in his hand flickered, and the Hokage hat was pulled down low. The whole face was hidden in the smoke, making it difficult to see the specific expression. At this time, Uchiha Toshiro was carrying a large plastic bag filled with the gains from shopping just now. Beef ribs, spinach, potatoes, etc. Since Uchiha Mika got married, these things were done by him personally. After controlling the economic power of the family, Toshiro did not treat himself badly. After getting familiar with the owner of the food store in the past 2 years, he even asked her to help him buy a lot of novel ingredients. From time to time, they would have seafood such as oysters. After all, a happy life should start from childhood. Those who understand will understand. Thinking about White Fang, Dong Shilang greeted acquaintances from time to time and headed for home. Since he met the White Fang family once 4 years ago, he occasionally saw them on the streets of Konoha in the past few years. I didn't expect that the man with a gentle personality and humble and polite attitude would end up like this. It's a pity that I have small arms and legs now. I can't do anything I want to do. The village was established by the first generation to protect young children and companions. However, a ninja was blamed by the village for rescuing his companions, and finally had to die to apologize. It really fulfilled the words of my ancestor, putting the cart before the horse. It seems that the third generation Hokage acquiesced to this matter. The next afternoon, I gave myself a whole afternoon off. Dong Shilang, who rarely came to Konoha Commercial Street to go shopping, held a 3-color meatball in one hand, and listened to the discussions of the adults around him with his ears perked up. At this time, the surrounding public opinion was different from yesterday, when the news was only spread among a small number of people. It can almost be said that everyone knows about it. In public, those idle people and adults gathered in groups of 3 or 5 to discuss this matter. They expressed their different opinions. In Dong Shilang's opinion, there are several reasons why this matter will eventually develop into this. First of all, time. Now is the window period between the Second World War and the Third World War. As the famous Konoha White Fang, its importance to the village is not so obvious. After all, when the birds are gone, the good bows are hidden, and when the rabbits die, the running dogs are cooked. This kind of disgusting thing happens in any world in any country, and you White Fang are no exception. Secondly, it is expansion. At this time, the third Hokage is still at his peak, and his 3 disciples have even won the title of the 3 ninjas. Whether it is Orochimaru, Jiraiya or Tsunade, they have made a great name in the village or in the ninja world. Counting Shimura Danzo and the patriarchs of the major families under the Hokage who are in their prime, and the sunny boy who began to practice the Flying Thunder God technique created by the second generation Hokage, and the gradually growing 9-tailed Jinchuriki Uzumaki Kushina Konoha Hashiki and so on. The fighting power of Konoha village is really expanding. It is no exaggeration to say that there are many talents. Then there are the duties of ninjas. What is the most important thing for ninjas? Should you abandon your companions in order to carry out the mission, or abandon your companions to complete the mission? This is a question that is difficult to have a standard answer. Giving up the mission is not good for the village, and giving up your companions to complete the mission is putting the cart before the horse. Combined with the ninja code described in the textbooks of the Konoha Village Ninja School in recent years, Dong Shilang has basically been able to judge the attitude of the third generation. The will of fire proposed by the first generation Hokage, improved by the second generation Hokage, and compiled by the third generation Hokage, and another ninja code can be summed up in 8 words: mission first, village first. As for the last reason, it is worth pondering. It should be that he blocked the way of certain people. These certain people should not only refer to Shimura Danzo, it should also include the Sandaime, the several disciples who may inherit the position of Hokage. Otherwise, if Shimura Danzo was the only one to handle this matter, it would not have caused the subsequent consequences. I think the Sandaime mediated, and it was just a mission failure, which did not lead to the sad ending of Hotakesukumo's suicide. I wonder how the Sandaime of Konoha felt when facing the Nine Tails rebellion. Nagisa and Kushina were killed, Orochimaru defected, and Jiraiya ran away. Tsunade suffered from hemophobia and other multiple blows. By the way, has Princess Tsunade suffered from hemophobia now? I don't know what the short-lived Kato Dan is like now. Is he dead or still alive? Does he have to wait until the outbreak of the Third Ninja World War to die? Big breasts and hips, thin waist and long legs, and blonde hair. Think about the casual glance when you occasionally meet on the street. No wonder Jiraiya, the pervert, hanged himself on a tree. TSK, TSK, TSK. If the age gap wasn't too big, I wouldn't be able to resist pursuing her. With my tsunade, why would I care about other girls? How does that saying go? Why do I need a bicycle? Walking and walking, I unknowingly came to a courtyard in the village. The outer perimeter of the courtyard is a fence built with logs, which looks quite unique. The open space in the courtyard is full of evergreen trees, as well as some flowers and plants. However, those flowers and plants have withered a little, which shows that no one usually takes care of them. In the middle of the courtyard is a wooden house with an L-shaped main body. At this time, the main doors and windows are closed, and there is no life. Is this Kakashi's home? It looks a bit desolate. The footsteps did not stop, maintaining the original speed, passing by this courtyard. At this moment, it is not a wise choice to have any contact with Kakashi and Hotakesukumo. Who knows if there is an ambush team or something nearby, although it is estimated that it is difficult to monitor Hotakesukumo. But who knows what this mad dog Shimura Danzo will do. And in a few days, this courtyard will probably be surrounded by those stupid villagers. And the teammates saved by Hotakesukumo, insulting and accusing him has achieved his ulterior motives. I am still too weak. If I had the strength of my Madara, or the Hazilama on Yanyan, if I don't like someone, I can just beat him up. Isn't that pleasing? Practice. The revolution has not yet succeeded. Comrades still need to work hard. Throwing away the bamboo sticks in his hand, he patted his cheeks with both hands. Work hard. Struggle. A leg. Chapter 45, Ending and the Three-Body Technique. 3 days later, the news of Hotakesukumo, known as the White Fang of Konoha, committing suicide came out. This powerful and gentle white-haired man ended his life in this way. When the Sandaime Hokage first heard the news, he was confused and regretful for a moment. In his original intention, he never thought that things would develop to this point. In his original idea, he used this incident to suppress the reputation of White Fang and add a stain to his resume. He wanted to knock Hotakesukumo and let him know what the duty of a ninja is. It is enough to be a sharp blade, honestly. Is it to practice your own ninja way? Or are you blaming me for turning a blind eye? Is anyone watching? Why is there no one sitting behind the Hokage's desk? The Sandaime Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up at the photos of the previous Hokage on the wall. The people in the photos have no souls, but just silently watching the Hokage, watching the village. Did I do something wrong? But I also want to protect the village. The heads of the major families in Konoha who received the news were all shocked. That figure who was unstoppable and sharp on the battlefield, that man who regarded protecting the village and his companions as his ninjutsu, just died silently in his own home, died under his own sword. He also died in those rumors. Suddenly, they all lost their voices and looked at the Hokage building, as if they understood something. Even the ordinary ninjas were shocked. From then on, they knew how to choose between companions and missions. Was it to stick to their own ninjutsu that they had practiced all their lives but was denied by the village? Or was it because they were angry that the third Hokage turned a blind eye to this matter? Or was it because they felt guilty because the mission failed? Or, for their young son? These reasons were unknown with Hotakesukumo's suicide. What's funny is that with the news of White Fang's death, those villagers who surrounded Hotake's house and cursed him, and those companions who accused him of giving up the mission to save themselves, all disappeared overnight, as if they had never appeared. Even the adults in the village deliberately avoided this topic when chatting. In the end, only a 5-year-old child, an empty house and a broken heart were left. Konoha has one more orphan. 3 minutes of silence for this Konoha White Fang. At this time, Dong Shilang was sitting cross-legged at the low table in his study at home. The sun shone in through the window lattice. It illuminated his back and also shone on the scrolls, notes and manuscripts on the desk. At this time, he was studying ninjutsu, or more precisely, the 3-body techniques that must be taken for graduation from the ninja school. Many senior time travelers only pay attention to the substitute technique among the 3-body techniques, and disdain the clone technique and transformation technique. In Dong Shilang's view, this is biased. The substitute technique is certainly important, using a substitute prepared in advance to replace oneself to accept an attack, and the person himself waits for an opportunity to launch an attack or leave the battle. This is certainly a magical skill to save life. Later, Orochimaru developed the snake-style substitute technique, which can even erase the damage to the body. Although it is a bit disgusting, the effect is quite explosive. Let's talk about the clone technique first. The clone technique taught in the ninja school is to condense a non-substantial clone with chakra to confuse the enemy. These are fine, but the advanced clone technique, such as shadow clone, can carry the consciousness of the person. It can also transmit the consciousness back to the main body after the clone disappears. This involves the advanced application of chakra and the purpose of the establishment of the ninja sect. With chakra as a link, people's consciousness can be communicated and shared, so as to bring peace. In the original work, whether it is Minato Nimike's or Kushina Uzumaki, they use chakra to seal part of their consciousness in Naruto's body. There is also the spiritualization technique mastered by the short-lived ghost Kato Den. It even uses chakra to carry his own soul. These all have the shadow of the clone technique vaguely, but the direction and degree of use are different. Let's talk about the transformation technique. The transformation technique is generally regarded as useless by ninjas. Whether it is to turn into an object, stone or wood to deceive the enemy during a battle, or to transform into another person or ninja during a mission, the purpose is to deceive and confuse the opponent. This way of use is basically not very effective in front of experienced ninjas or ninjas with special perception and blood limit abilities. However, the summoning beast Saramo passed down from generation to generation by the Sarutobi clan has brought different applications and heights to the transformation technique. Not only can it become indestructible, but it can also be stretched and shortened, and it can be thicker or thinner as you want. There is also the Akimiki clan's doubling technique. He doesn't believe that the people of the Akimiki clan can turn themselves into a real giant just because they eat more meat. Whether it is the flesh, bones, internal organs, etc., make a person huge, and then shrink back again. It's outrageous to think about it, and the coffin of the founder of the medical school can hardly hold it down. He prefers to believe that this is a change brought about by the combination of transformation technique and yang escape. There are also some multiplication techniques, which are even more amazing. If you have studied this, can you open a harem at will in the future? It seems that some strange things have been mixed in. There are also many changes when they are combined. Here I have to mention Orochimaru. In the original work, Orochimaru used the shadow snake hand. Compared with the slightly complicated summoning technique, he is more willing to believe that it is a combination of clone technique and transformation technique. Use chakra to separate a separate individual, then perform the transformation technique to transform into a python to attack or bind the enemy. For example, Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword, when he fought with Naruto on the Tandi Bridge, he divided the Kusanagi sword into dozens or hundreds of swords. It even extended hundreds of meters long. Isn't this a castrated version of the clone technique plus the ape demon transformation technique? There is also Orochimaru who turned his entire lower body into a python's body and performed snakeskin movement. He really couldn't imagine how a person could turn a body into another animal. If so, what is it if not transformation technique? Is it just scientific research transformation? Not necessarily. Even the Uchi god who was loved by many netizens in his previous life. During the Fourth Ninja World War, he summoned a crow with Uchiha Shizui's Meixiang Sharingan from Naruto's body. Is that crow really a summoned beast? He can't see it. It's more like a combination of clone technique plus transformation technique plus sealing technique. Otherwise, how could a crow live in Naruto's body for so long without water, food, or air? It can also carry the power of Shizui's Meixiang. Is anyone watching? It seems that there is no movement. Chapter 46 Visitors. Another morning, in the living room of Dong Shilang's home. Please sit down. It was rare that a visitor came to Dong Shilang's home today. He was a member of the security team in his early 20s, slightly taller than the average Uchiha. He had medium-length hair, draped behind his head. His face was slightly old-fashioned, with two long lines on his face. The whole person gave people a serious, old-fashioned, and meticulous feeling. That's right, This man was Uchiha Fugaku, who later gave birth to the great filial son and Optimus Prime. He is not the head of the Uchiha clan yet, although as the biological son of the current head of the Uchiha clan, his strength has been generally recognized by the family. But with his butterfly wings, who can predict the future? I'm so sorry, because there are very few visitors at home, so there is nothing prepared. Please have tea. As he said, Dong Shilang quickly brought out a tray. On it were 2 cups of freshly brewed green tea. He handed one of the cups of green tea to Fugaku, and he took another cup, sat across from the coffee table, and looked at him quietly. He was confused about Uchiha Fugaku's visit to his home today. He didn't understand what a kid who hadn't become a ninja yet should care about. As far as he knew, this future clan leader who was highly expected by the current clan leader was quite busy. Not only did he hold an important position in the security force, but he also often accepted various difficult tasks issued by the Hokage. He also had connections with all branches of the family. He took care of the village, the family, and the security force in all aspects, and he was completely like a young clan leader. As the old saying goes, a night owl comes into the house for no reason, so I hope it's not bad news. He is very considerate in treating guests. He is not as panicked as other children when facing the elders of the clan, and he is very mature and calm. In addition, his unremitting efforts over the years have made him a resolute character. Since entering the door, Uchiha Fugaku has not said a word. He just quietly observed Dong Shilang's every move. He saw how he treated people, how he received guests and how he responded to his sudden visit. Just these few minutes of observation, combined with some information collected by the clan, he could basically judge. The boy in front of him was a good seedling of a ninja, and would be a pillar of the family in the future. I don't know why Senior Fugaku came here today. If there is anything I can do, please just ask. The silence did not last too long. As the master of the house, Dong Shilang spoke first. His attitude was very upright, as if the family could just ask if there was anything. He would definitely do his best to complete the family's task, but the key was still the phrase "to the best of my ability." He, a boy less than 8 years old, a kid who was still in ninja school, I think the family should have no plans for him, so he didn't beat around the bush and got straight to the point. Hearing this, Uchiha Fugaku did not rush to speak. Instead, he held a hot tea in his hand and blew away the hot air floating on the mouth of the cup. After a faint glance at Toshiro, he spoke slowly. As a genius in the family, I wonder what you think of the current situation in the ninja world. Toshiro, how? I see with my eyes, he secretly complained, and he did not expect that Uchiha Fugaku would ask such a question after brewing for so long. Is this a question that should be asked to a child? Senior Fugaku really thinks too highly of me. How can a student of an ordinary ninja school like me know such a thing? But since you asked, I will reluctantly say it. The ninja school has expanded its enrollment this year. Yes, the ninja school has expanded its enrollment today. Unlike when Toshiro enrolled at the age of 6, this year's ninja school has not only 6-year-old children, but also some 5-year-old children. Just like Uchiha Bito, who is of the same clan as him, he entered the school as the last one, and the son of Konoha White Fang who committed suicide a month ago, Hatake Kakashi. The exact age when he enrolled was just 5 years old. Hearing this, Uchiha Fugaku, who asked the question, was a little surprised. He asked this question casually, and he didn't think that the boy opposite would give any reliable answer. I didn't expect this kid to observe so carefully, and his perspective on the problem is different from those adults. Sure enough, he is a rare genius in the family. Senior Fugaku is too polite, genius or something. I just work harder than ordinary people. It's not easy to be a genius in the world of Naruto. Whether it's Minato Namikaze or Akaichi, and even later Hatake Kakashi, they are all called geniuses, but their endings are not very good. There is a saying that the higher you praise, the harder you fall. You call yourself a genius, and we don't know what you want to do. Be humble. Be humble. Since Dong Shilang is not as ignorant as ordinary children, I will speak frankly to you. Based on the intelligence collected by the family and various iron materials, medicinal materials, food and other related materials related to the war, the prices are now slowly increasing. This is also thanks to him and the Ninja Cat clan, the ideas he provided and the blood coagulation potion developed by Uchiha Mika. The family has recently become slightly sensitive to the prices of potions and medicinal materials. The sales of the Ninja Cat clan's fine shuriken and kunai have soared. The price of raw materials has risen sharply recently, and the family has also received feedback. Some experienced elders of the family speculate that the major ninja villages may not be satisfied with some of the treaties and results of the last war. The war is likely to break out in the near future. Hearing this, Dong Shilang was not too surprised. After all, the Third Ninja World War in the original work was the most tragic of all the Ninja World Wars, not to mention the long time it took. The loss of personnel was even more terrifying. Almost all the heads of the major families have changed. When the Eternal Sister Namikaze Minato took over as the fourth-generation Hokage, representatives of various families attended the Hokage succession ceremony. Whether it's Sino, Deer, Chu or Uchiha, they are all the younger generation. Where are the current clan leaders? They were all consumed by the war. While speaking, Uchiha Fugaku had been observing the changes in Tawashiro's expression. What surprised him was that Tawashiro's expression did not fluctuate much when he heard the news that the war was about to break out. What kind of fluctuation could there be? For a piece of news that the result was known in advance, he was already able to remain calm and composed. As for pretending to be surprised, he figured it out a long time ago. It was too risky to play micro-expressions in front of Uchiha Jonin. Chapter 47 Conversation. Uchiha Fugaku was still very surprised by Uchiha Tawashiro's calm expression after hearing the news of the war. Does he not understand how cruel war is to ninjas? Or is he strong and fearless? Or is he too shocked to express his expression correctly? With his extraordinary eyesight, Uchiha Fugaku saw all of Tawashiro's micro-expressions. Even without opening the Sharingan, the Uchiha bloodline gave him talents far beyond ordinary ninjas. Just as Tawashiro imagined, in front of a Jonin, especially an Uchiha Jonin, it is almost impossible to control your facial expressions to confuse the other party. The family intends to select some students from the ninja school who have not yet graduated and arrange for them to graduate early. Then ask the elite Jonin in the family to guide them to deal with the upcoming Third Ninja World War. Graduate early. After going around in circles, he finally said the purpose of this trip. I didn't expect that I couldn't escape the early graduation that one must experience when traveling through time, but unlike them who applied for it on their own initiative, I was forced to graduate. The training of Konohagakure ninjas is generally taught by the ninja school, supplemented by the secret techniques of the family, except for a few with special identities. It is the same for all. This is also the way for the ninja clan to express an attitude to the Hokage. Now that the war is about to break out, the various ninja families hope to speed up the training of the seedlings in the clan. The Hokage is also happy to see it happen. After all, no matter how excellent you train, you will be sent to the battlefield for him to drive. War and early graduation? I understand. I don't know if we will join the regular ninja mission team or the security force at that time. He was not excited because he could graduate early and become a ninja. Dong Shilang just asked a question lightly to understand his future. Whether to join the ninja mission team or join the security force, it doesn't make a big difference to him. Ordinary Uchiha ninjas will join the regular ninja team after graduation. After going through some training and becoming a chunin, they will be transferred to the security force. At this time, some of the family ninjas have successfully opened their eyes after experiencing the killing and pain of ninjas and become the pillars of the family. Even those who have not opened their eyes have been well trained and can perfectly cope with various tasks of the security force. As for those family ninjas who have neither opened their eyes nor become chunin after a certain period of time, they will be advised to engage in other affairs, lest they sacrifice in the mission and leave a group of orphans and widows with regrets. The situation of Dong Shilang at this time is slightly special, and the elite of the family will serve as the guiding ninja. If other civilians or family members join the team, they will be included in the ranks of regular ninjas. If all of them are Uchiha peers as teammates, then he will directly enter the security force. This will also reflect the relationship between the Uchiha family and the master-apprentice system. and the group of civilian ninjas. The family will select the right teammates for you from your cohort of graduates to form a task force. Then you will directly join the security force. Fugaku answered calmly without paying too much attention to the question raised by Tawashiru, thinking that he wanted to know more about the family's arrangement for him. He didn't expect that the kid opposite him would have so many twists and turns. Excluded from the master-apprentice system? Well, this is also expected. How could the third Hokage easily let Uchiha join the master-apprentice system, let the ninja students who graduated from Uchiha join the task force and feel the will of fire? As for letting Uchiha serve as the responsible jonin, forget it. This is not bad. At least there won't be some unreliable teammates. And the responsible jonin is the elite of his own family. And there will be no situation where he runs away when he encounters danger and leaves the students behind. Although Naruto is a passionate show, the whole story is about bonds, sacrifice, and dedication. But when facing death and fear, people will instinctively choose to save themselves and sacrifice the decision of others. Otherwise, where do so many rebellious ninjas come from? It's okay for those who have families in the village, but it's easy for those who are alone to go down this path. Even if the mission fails, the punishment will not be too terrible. Not everyone is Konoha White Fang. I wonder if the clan will give us any rewards in terms of ninjutsu or secret techniques for arranging our graduation early. I guess we will graduate early, but it's also good to take this opportunity to get some benefits from the clan. Uchiha Fugaku was a little surprised by the question raised by Dong Shilang, but he didn't care too much. Uchiha, pursuit of power. Isn't this normal? Pursuit of love and peace? He forgot that the future clan leader sitting in front of him is a model of pursuit of love and peace. For you students who graduate early from the ninja school, the family will vigorously train you. If your team leader approves, 1 or 2 ninjutsu will not be a problem. The Uchiha family is still very generous to their own seedlings, except for some special techniques involving the Sharingan, such as Izanagi, Izanami, or forbidden techniques that are too costly to use. As for conventional escape techniques and secret techniques, the family's channels are still very smooth. This also caused the family ninjas to disdain all techniques except the Sharingan secret technique. Anyone who is lucky enough to open their eyes is wholeheartedly developing the strength of the Sharingan. Even those who cannot open their eyes have the opening of their eyes as their first goal. In this case, I have no more questions. Thank you, Mr. Fugaku, for coming to my house to inform me. I will work hard to pass the graduation exam of the ninja school. Please forgive me for the poor hospitality. After saying that, Dong Shilang quickly stood up and saluted. Although he was not very satisfied with the future clan leader, he is now the elite young clan leader of the clan. He still has to do some superficial work. As a former worker, these are just a drop in the bucket. That's good. The school test won't be a problem for you. Excuse me. He then stood up and said goodbye. He had other students' families to notify. However, talking to this boy who was less than 8 years old was really no different from talking to an adult. He stood up and sent him out the door, stood under the porch, and watched him walk out of the gate. Dong Shilang was filled with infinite emotion for a moment. From now on, the leisurely life will be gone forever. What he is about to face will be tasks, killings, blood, and things he has never experienced in his previous life. Chapter 48 Farewell. It was another morning. Dong Shilang stood in front of the dressing mirror in the living room. He carefully looked at the figure in the mirror. The boy in the mirror had messy medium-length hair tied into a neat single ponytail, and a few strands of bangs flying sideways in front of his forehead. Although a little messy, it did not cover his dark and shining eyes, and the straight and sharp sword-like eyebrows between his eyebrows. A fishnet underwear commonly worn by ninjas is paired with a beige jacket. The lower body is wearing a pair of black and gray cropped pants, paired with ninja sandals. It looks neat and tidy. He is over 135 centimeters tall and his figure is slightly broader than that of children of the same age. He looks like a teenager. Where did this handsome boy come from? He is really loved by everyone and flowers bloom when he sees him. After a self-intoxication, Dong Shilang walked out of the house and headed towards the ninja school. A month has passed since the last conversation, and today is the day for him to take the graduation exam. Toshiro, you are going to take the graduation exam today and graduate early. Are you nervous, idiot? Do you think Toshiro is like you? If he has to stumble through a simple clone jutsu, he must have passed it easily. Walking on the road leading to the ninja school, several friends of the same age around them started arguing after a while. The one who was called an idiot was Uchiha, who was a little impatient. He was a bit like the future Obito, but without that kind of love. His family was considered happy, and his parents were still alive. His chakra control was average, and he barely learned to climb trees. After more than 2 years of studying in the ninja school, he could barely perform the substitution jutsu and transformation jutsu. However, the clone jutsu, which required slightly higher chakra control, was difficult to perform. Speaking of which, Toshiro and Hamura are the only ones of the same age as us who applied for early graduation this time. I'm really envious, said the girl named Asaka with some envy. Among the same generation of Toshiro's family, the only one who is qualified to apply for early graduation is this genius girl who successfully extracted chakra in just one night during their family's preschool training. Even if other families want to cultivate seedlings in advance, they mostly select students in the 4th and 5th grades. There are almost no second-year students like Toshiro and Hamura, but there are always exceptions. I heard that White Fang's son also applied for early graduation this year. It is said that he is not even 6 years old yet, which is really exaggerated. Uchiha Mamoru next to him interjected. He was not among the candidates who applied for early graduation this time. Really? Not even 6 years old yet? That's really unusual. By the way, when Long Huo was not 6 years old, he was almost scared to death by a wild boar. Hearing this, the girl named Asaka couldn't help but say something to hit him. His poor performance when hunting wild boars 2 years ago has become a laughingstock among his peers. Asagi, shut up. What we are talking about now is early graduation and becoming a ninja, you know. And I didn't wet my pants at that time. Long Huo, with a red face and a little angry, argued loudly at the girl. That mistake 2 years ago, I don't know how it slowly spread, and it was regarded as the greatest hatred of his life. The girl was not afraid. She snorted and ignored it. Looking at the two people playing around him, Dong Shilan couldn't help but smile. In his opinion, these two people are a bit like a pair of bickering lovers. But looking at Long Huo's poor performance, he will suffer in the future. Entering the school, he opened the sliding door of the classroom with a clatter. At once, all the students in the class who had already arrived in the classroom saluted him. 3 days ago, when he submitted his application for early graduation, the news had slowly spread. By this time, almost everyone in the class knew about it. Toshiro wishes you a smooth and early graduation. His deskmate, a fat boy named Shishidoryo, gave him his blessing the moment he saw him. Oh, he gave him a thumbs up and a big smile. Toshiro sat in his seat. He ignored the curious and amazed eyes around him. Of course, there were also some unhappy, jealous and resentful eyes. They were from the dandy Sarutobi Ruai from the Hokage family and some other friends. Not long after, Aoyama Ryosuke, the class teacher, this chunin with a slightly similar face and the same hairstyle as Saitama, came to the classroom. Looking at Toshiro sitting quietly in the back row of the classroom, Aoyama Ryosuke was a little emotional for a while. This student did not cause him too much trouble. He always sat quietly in his seat alone, doing his own things. He did not disturb himself or his classmates. At the same time, his talent as a ninja was extremely outstanding. Whether it was the knowledge taught in the classroom or the knowledge in the senior textbooks that he had not yet touched, he had mastered them perfectly. He has outstanding performance and physical skills, ninjutsu, genjutsu, and hand seals. Now he has applied for early graduation, which makes him feel a little regretful. Regret that he failed to leave more marks in his growth process. Okay, everyone, be quiet. Uchiha Toshiro, please follow me. The other students stay in the classroom to study. Standing on the podium, Aoyama Ryosuke said loudly, Uchiha Toshiro is about to take the graduation exam. I hope everyone will applaud him with me. Come on. As he spoke, he took the lead in applauding Papa for a moment. Everyone in the classroom clapped excitedly. From time to time, someone sent him a blessing or two. Even Saratobi Ruai reluctantly joined in. "Thank you everyone. It's my honor to be your classmate." Toshiro, who did not expect this, stood on the podium and bowed deeply as a return gift. At the same time, he murmured, saying goodbye. After leaving the classroom, Uchiha Toshiro walked slowly behind Mr. Aoyama. He was not nervous at all about the upcoming graduation exam. Instead, he was a little surprised by the performance of his classmates just now. Is this also a kind of bond? Toshiro did not have time to think about it, but after a while, he followed Mr. Aoyama to a new venue. The current ninja school graduation exam is not like the future Third World War when Abido graduates, which only tests a simple clone technique. At that time, Konoha village had fallen into the quagmire of war, and the front line urgently needed more ninjas to join the war of attrition. Even Abido's poor clone technique was able to get away with it, so you can imagine how simple it was and the needs of the front line. It was also not like the beginning of the story, when it was also the clone technique. But at that time, the graduation age of ninjas was 12 years old. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Test. Nowadays, the graduation exams of ninja schools are divided into 3 categories: written exams, ninjutsu and practical combat. Needless to say, the written exams are all about some basic ninja content. For example, hand gestures, secret language, some ninja experience, tactical formations, and some historical and cultural knowledge. Physics and mathematics are also mixed in, but the scores in this aspect are not high. With Mr. Aoyama leading me into this building specially prepared for the ninja graduation exam, I found the teacher in charge of the test and received a number plate. According to the number marked on the number plate, go upstairs to find your classroom and seat, and prepare to take the written exam. The teacher in charge of issuing the exam number plates handed a wooden number plate of 6 to 7 centimeters wide and 15 centimeters long to Dong Shilang. He looked at him expressionlessly and ignored him. On the contrary, Mr. Aoyama, who brought him here, looked at his student who was about to enter the examination room. He couldn't help but say, "Come on, Dong Shilang. The teacher and classmates all believe that you can succeed." "Thank you, Mr. Aoyama, there will be no problem." While saying this, he also made an okay gesture to him. I don't usually see Mr. Aoyama pay so much attention to him. I didn't expect that he would be caught like this when he was about to graduate. It's really. He was thinking about these things, but some of them were not answered. He walked towards the stairs at the corner and looked down at the number plate in his hand. This is. Just a glance at it made Dong Shilang a little stunned. There were 2 rows of numbers on the number plate. The upper row was written 201 and the lower row was written 12. It should be seat 12 in room 201 on the 2nd floor. But it shouldn't be a ghost. Just a glance, Dong Shilang found out the trick. This wooden number plate was set up with a simple illusion. This illusion is quite simple. It is so simple that it can't be called an illusion. It can only have a certain confusing effect. Even the students of the Ninja Academy can find the mystery in it as long as they stare at it carefully. This is also one of the test questions prepared by the Ninja Academy for them. If they can fall into such a simple illusion, then becoming a ninja is no different from committing suicide. I didn't expect that the graduation exam of the Ninja Academy would give me such a surprise. It is somewhat similar to the Chunin exam in the original work. After going upstairs, I found that the room on the left was 201, and the right was 202, 203 and other classrooms, and there were already many people in the classroom of 201, and several people were arguing about the seats. It seems that these idiots are going to be eliminated. They didn't even notice the obvious loophole of repeating the seat number. Their IQs are worrying. I ignored the room 201 on the left side of the stairs. Instead, I turned right and walked into the room 202 on the right. I pushed open the door and walked into the classroom, and found that many people had already come in. There were about 40 people. I found the corresponding seat number 21 and found that a piece of white paper and a pencil were already placed on the table. They should be the test tools prepared in advance. The left side of the seat was against the wall, and on his right, at this time, there was a white-haired masked kid sitting there, who looked familiar. "Hey, Kakashi, long time no see. I didn't expect to meet you in the examination room." Hearing someone calling his name, Kakashi turned around calmly, without saying a word, and just glanced at Toshiro with a pair of dead fish eyes. It was considered a greeting. He had a little impression of the person next to him. He should have met him a few times on the street, but so what? He was just a familiar stranger. Does this guy have such an expression now? It should be the impact of Tsukumo's incident on him. It's more serious than I thought. He didn't get angry because of Kakashi's cold expression. Speaking of it, this guy is also a pitiful person. His parents died at a young age. He started his career as a ninja at the age of 5 or 6. He finally found a good friend, but his good friend died to save him. Then he killed the companion he promised to protect for life with his own hands. Even his teacher with golden flash and the fastest speed in the ninja world died on the night of the 9 tails. It can be said that all the death, killing, pain and tears that a ninja has experienced, he has experienced them all in his childhood. He didn't have to wait for long, only 10 minutes. Then a group of 5 people walked into the classroom. 4 of them sat in the 4 corners of the side, each holding a clipboard in their hands, looking like an invigilator. "Okay, let me tell you the rules of the exam. Anyone caught cheating will be disqualified from the exam immediately. Let's start handing out the exam papers. Pass them to each other." The remaining teacher didn't say much nonsense. He briefly introduced the exam rules and distributed the papers. Really simple and crude exam rules. If you are caught cheating, you will be expelled directly. Now let's help each other pass the papers. Is this giving cheaters a chance? Looking at the students in the classroom, some pretended to be calm, some had a worried expression, and some had a calm face. Dong Shileng couldn't help but think, ninja is really a profession that produces a lot of poor students. Looking at the large blank spaces on the test paper in his hand, Dong Shileng sighed. It seems that there are quite a lot of knowledge points to be tested. First, he roughly scanned the questions on both sides of the test paper, and after he had a clear idea of them, Dong Shileng picked up a pencil and started to solve the questions. Given a certain momentum, angle, and without considering the wind speed, how to calculate the flight trajectory of the shuriken, please list the fatal parts of the human body, please indicate the temperature of the following flames of various colors. Looking at the different questions on the test paper, Dong Shileng felt like he was back in the examination room of high school in his previous life, writing furiously, thinking about those dark days. Even though they were separated by a world and a life, he could still deeply feel the torment. It only took him less than 30 minutes to fill in all the blanks on both sides of the test paper. After checking his name and answer again, Dong Shileng stood up and handed in the paper ahead of time. At this time, the test was only halfway through. Only a few candidates had completed half of the questions. However, he was able to answer the questions on the test paper in such a short time, which attracted the attention of many people. Some of the candidates only filled in a few words on the test paper, and they looked at him with gritted teeth. He didn't pay attention to the looks of those poor students. What surprised him was that less than a minute after he walked out of the classroom, a figure finished the test paper just like him, and handed in the paper in advance and walked out of the classroom. It was Kakashi who took part in this ninja exam at the age of less than 6. Chapter 50, A Show of Power. Please draw out the questions for your exam. In another spacious classroom, a teacher wearing a green chunin vest said to Toshiro. He gestured to the wooden box on the table in front of him. Without any hesitation, he reached into the wooden box and grabbed it. When he pulled out his arm, there was already a piece of paper on his palm. He unfolded it and saw, Transformation Technique. The second item of this exam is the ninjutsu assessment. The candidates drew out their own test items from the box on the table. The test questions were Clone Jutsu, Transformation Jutsu, and Substitute Jutsu. Use the teacher next to you as a reference to perform Transformation Jutsu. For him, such a simple 3-body jutsu is not even a piece of cake. He casually formed a seal. Boom. A puff of smoke dispersed, and a figure exactly the same as the reference target appeared in the original place. The whole body was exactly the same, and even the expression was 70% similar. The speed of forming seals was excellent, the chakra control was excellent, the effect of performing ninjutsu was excellent. At the scene, the teachers in charge of the assessment of the ninja school students wrote and drew on the materials in their hands. They generously gave him an excellent score for the assessment results. Even though they were already chunin, they could not find any faults with the process and effect of this transformation technique. It didn't take too long to complete these simple test subjects. Dong Shilang came to the outdoor venue specially prepared for this ninja exam. The next thing to do is the physical skills and practical assessment. I don't know who my next opponent will be. I hope it won't be too exaggerated. The physical skills and practical assessments for ninja graduates are combined. The subjects of the exam also fully experience the characteristics of simplicity and roughness. The school teachers acted as assessors and attacked the students. The standard for completion was to persist for 5 minutes under the teacher's hands. These teachers who acted as assessors, all of them are experienced veteran chunin in their 40s and 50s. Although they are not as strong as young ninjas in terms of physical strength, they are worse than those young chunin in terms of experience in fighting enemies. It's really too easy to deal with a group of candidates who are not even ninjas. Of course, the teacher will not attack with all his strength, and usually the main goal is to test. Otherwise, even if there is only a short 5 minutes, I believe that 90% of the candidates will not be able to pass this test. Uchiha Toshiro, follow me. As soon as he stepped into this specially prepared examination room, an ninja came to Toshiro. This is your opponent in this exam, Mizutani Harumi. You can use any means, including but not limited to ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, shuriken detonating tags, etc. Under his attack, just hold on for 5 minutes. Understood. After a faint response, Toshiro looked at his opponent. There were also several people sitting on the opposite stand. His opponent, the chunin instructor Mizutani Harumi, was not tall. His hair was a little gray, and he should be over 50 years old. A wound like a centipede crawled on his right cheek, adding a bit of ferocity to his whole person. His appearance and clothing are not outstanding, but his limbs are slightly sturdy, giving people a sense of reliability. Ninja schools like to invite middle-aged and elderly ninjas to serve as teachers for students. They use their rich mission and combat experience to teach students. This is a job that many old and weak ninjas yearn for. They pass on their experience in fighting enemies and missions in their ninja careers to the next generation of Konoha, and pass on their will of fire. There were 5 or 6 spectators sitting on the stands on the side. After a glance, I found that most of them were unknown, and there was no sign of the third Hokage. The only familiar one was a middle-aged man wearing glasses. He was the assistant of Konoha Hokage Meixiang, who had appeared several times on TV. As far as Toshiro knew, this Meixiang elder was mainly responsible for Konoha's personnel-related matters. It was quite like the personnel director or organization department in the previous life. He was also kind, in sharp contrast to the hot-tempered Uchiha Koharu and the gloomy Shimura Danzo. Both parties signed the seal of opposition. The ninja school graduation examination begins now. Shadow Dance Leaf. Before the referee who just announced the start left the field, the opponent Mizutani Harumi kicked Dong Shilang's chin with a fierce lower kick in a nearly sneak attack. Fuck, you have no virtue of ninja. Do you want to show me your power right away? Swish. Without any hesitation, his body almost instinctively turned sideways to avoid the attack. Then he jumped back, trying to distance himself. At the same time, his right hand reached the ninjutsu bag behind his waist to prepare a wave of shuriken attacks to interrupt the opponent's attack rhythm. Such a sudden attack, Dong Shilang's 5 senses were sharp, and he noticed a clue in advance. If it were a slightly slower candidate, he would probably be kicked away directly, and a set of subsequent combos would be enough to knock him out directly. Konoha whirlwind. Before Dong Shilang's hand touched the ninjutsu bag, the opponent's subsequent attacks had already arrived one after another. A powerful spinning upper kick was aimed at his head. The moves were connected smoothly, and his reaction seemed to have been expected. It's not over yet. It's true that becoming a chunin, especially an old-fashioned chunin who has lived to the age of 50 or 60, is not easy. You are still a little inexperienced. I didn't expect the opponent to attack by surprise. He is an office worker living in the city. Although he has trained hard over the years, he has mastered all ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. However, in actual combat, the gap between him and these experienced ninjas is quite huge. Bang! The opponent got the upper hand, and he was helpless. Dong Shilang used a substitute technique with hand seals, leaving a wooden stake that was kicked in two on the spot. This distanced him from the opponent. Swish, swish, swish. He was more than 10 meters away from the opponent. He held 4 shurikens in each hand and attacked the opponent, in order to disrupt the opponent's attack rhythm and create opportunities for his next wave of attacks. He had already thought about it before the exam. In this exam, he could only perform some common taijutsu, shuriken, or some 3-body techniques taught in school. Although the family and Konoha have had a good relationship over the years, it is always a good idea to keep a hand. After a wave of shuriken shot, he was not idle and launched his own attack. Suddenly, Toshiro rushed towards Mizutani Harumi with a bitter sword in hand. The clone technique is used to confuse the opponent during the attack, which is a very simple and practical method. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.